Hello and welcome to the MinnMax Show, a place about games, friends, and getting better. I'm Ben Hansen, joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello there.
Hello, Kyle. But look, people are sick of us. They know what we're all about. But what if we brought in some special, unique voices like JV Gwaltney, returning champion?
Hi, everyone.
Welcome, JV. It's been a while. I guess you were on the deepest dive talking about The Thing, but even that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, that was like, what, November, December? That was last year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
No one's quite sure.
Time doesn't matter anymore.
It's all gone. But
It's been 4 years ago.
I'm still amazed, JV. You are very consistent for a couple things. First of all, apparently playing 3,000 hours of Phasmophobia and tweeting out just constant clips of your experiences. And also just, you play so many games. You put us to shame. Like, you're not regularly on a gaming podcast, but you play 10 times the amount of games as anybody else in the industry. I'm just flabbergasted with how many you get through.
Fun, yeah. It's not like we have that much else going on anyway.
Yeah, you know what? I should be out of excuses. You're right. But that's not all. It's JV. He's here. We're happy to have him. But we're also joined by a very special guest, Sarah Elmale. Welcome. Thank you. Sarah, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Voice actor extraordinaire, voice work consultant. What other labels would you like to put on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, that's labor advocate. And yeah, that's a good one. Consultant, which sometimes leads to directing and voice producing. So that's a thing. But yeah, mainly known for acting, I suppose.
Perfect. I'm trying to remember how this whole thing got intertwined. I think you tweeted out like the museum video we did. Is that right?
Yes. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
I loved it very much. Big museum fan. Big fan of games in museums and museums in games.
Yeah, it's all really
Both.
good. Yeah, so then I think we started DMing and it's like, oh, it'd be great to have you on sometime if there's anything you want to talk about. And you said, I mean, I'd love to talk about Mass Effect if that ever comes up. And then this week it came up in a big way. So it's the perfect
This
opportunity.
is not staged. I didn't just like find this and put it on my wall for the purpose of this podcast. It's just always there.
Art.
Oh, is that Garrus?
It's Garrus.
Hell yes, another Garrus fan, yes.
We finally
ex
found
commissioned
one.
this.
Really?
A birthday or something, and we're not together anymore, but we are. Always.
Garrus is eternal. People might recognize your voice from a lot of things. As Katie in Gone Home, the player's voice in Anthem, which is awesome. Star Wars Squadrons you're in recently. You were Lizzie in Gears 5. You're in After Party. And this is the part that I'm fascinated by about your career. There's a lot of fascinating things, and we'll get to community questions later on. People have questions, but I am always fascinated by the part in voice actors' IMDb pages where it just says additional voices.
Oh, yeah.
Because for you, it's like Miles Morales, Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy 15. What does that mean? Is that just like you go into a studio one day and they're like, you're a little girl, you're a 90-year-old man, and just rapid fire through these things?
Final Fantasy was especially like that. That was probably like the most additional voices that I've done where I was like, what are we doing? And they were like, it was like, yeah, mom. Like there's someone I was very whiny in that game, as I recall. I was like a mom who was trying to like deal with like, eat your fish. And then there was another that was like, what's all this about the port closing? Which became kind of like a meme joke among a charity stream that I do every year, which is actually coming up this year.
Give it a plug. What is it?
Yeah, Chocobo. We always, in the past, we would play through an entire Final Fantasy in one weekend without stopping, which is just really grueling. And we are now older, so we're doing like a more reasonable shift this weekend. And I think we're playing a Mario of some sort. It's not a Final Fantasy this time, but we always, all the donations that we do, and we'll do donation incentives, especially like sketches and things and whatnot, go to a different charity. And this year it's the Bale Project.
Oh, nice. If you ever want a recommendation for a shorter Final Fantasy you could get through, may I recommend the Dirty Dirge itself, Dirge of Cerberus, Final Fantasy VII. Have you played that one? The weird offshoot?
I actually have. And I have not played. Yeah, I have. Yeah. When it came out, I was like, ooh,
that's
Vampire
absurd.
Boy. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. And that was when I discovered that Mae Whitman is Yuffie, I think. Is that true?
I don't know the actress name, but maybe.
Mae Whitman is Anne from Arrested Development.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
Maybe.
really? Oh, that's right. Okay.
Well, no, maybe it's just Anne. Maybe her, Anne.
Right,
Anne is Anne, her. And also, she's also Katara. Is that from Korra or from Avatar?
Avatar, yeah.
It's just, it's amazing to go through Square's casting because they're all over the place. But I always go back for the most bizarre example is in Kingdom Hearts, was it 1 and 2, where Sephiroth was voiced by Lance Bass? I still can't get over that weird thing that happened.
And Haley Joel Osment.
That's
Sweet
right.
Haley Joel Osment.
The king of
We
sound.
tried to get him on our stream when we did Kingdom Hearts. It did not work.
Really? You're not able to pull just every actor in? I imagine there's just a cool
No, I like
cabal
wrote
of
his agent
actors.
and I was like, excuse me, it's for charity. And no one responded to me.
He doesn't believe in charity. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
Hey, we should probably talk about Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Yeah.
It was revealed before, but now details are flooding out from EA here. This is the remaster of all 3 games, single player only, but it's coming out May 14th, it turns out. JV, you are a madman who has played Mass Effect 2 how many times now?
I don't know. Not as much as I've played Wolfenstein, but that's just because Wolfenstein's like 10 hours. I think I've probably played Mass Effect 2 probably 22, 23 times.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I love that game. It's my favorite game of all time.
Wow.
That is absurd. Okay.
I mean, like 10 of those
amazing.
times were in 2010 when the game came out and I had nothing else to do in college. But yeah, it's in the 20s. I've played that game.
That's absurd. Okay, so when you're watching this trailer, when you're digesting facts about Legendary Edition, what stands out for you?
I mean, it looks better.
They got that part.
I think the most notable. It feels like most of the enhancements are going to the first one, though.
Right.
Which that's the game that needs it the most, and I get it. Especially, I cannot wait because it sounds like they're going to fix the cover thing. Because I don't know if anyone has played the original Mass Effect recently, but it has the auto cover where you get close to cover and your character's supposed to like stick to it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
And it was 2007, 2008, and that wasn't great. So the fact that they're going to like turn that into a button is what I'm probably most excited for, but also just being able to play it on my PS5 and stuff like the whole trilogy.
Yeah, so the whole thing's running at 4K 60 with targeted enhancements for the current gen. A very specific wording there. So it's not like it's built from the ground up to take full advantage of the new systems.
Lens flare. So much lens flare.
Which was funny. I saw like the Mass Effect Reddit, because everybody's freaking about the lens flare that is in the game that they're showing off in screenshots for the comparison and stuff. And the Reddit's like, what the hell? They had lens flare in the original. Like, you're not giving the originals their due, because they were lens flaring before J.J. Abrams was, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, so reworking Mass Effect 1, I'm still a little bit confused about how much they're overhauling combat. So they say that they're adding aim assist. They have a zoom snap that will flick your focus
all news
onto
to
a
me.
target.
I've seen the trailer and nothing else.
Oh,
This is very
perfect.
exciting.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You can flick your focus onto a target while aiming, but I'm still trying to figure out, and JV, you've probably played Mass Effect 1 more recently than I have, but it's still like a dice roll with every shot, right? From what I recall. So do you know if they're reworking it to that level of making it actually matter where you're shooting in a big way?
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but what I would do when I played through the game was just turn it down to easy.
Yeah.
So that it kind of removed the dice roll thing where it played more like a traditional shooter or casual. I'm sorry. I think that's the official like difficulty title.
Yeah, be cool, man.
But yeah, it seems like that would be the most natural way to go, because that game, like the shooting parts of that game aren't fun when they're really tied up in the RPG, like, oh, it's a dice roll, are we going to hit or not? I don't think anyone necessarily wants that, but I could be wrong.
The beginning of that game is pretty grueling, yeah.
Yeah.
Before you get
it's
decent.
the one I'm most interested in playing of the trilogy. And so I was reading up on it, and it does seem like they're not making as many changes as you would hope, as I would hope. Personally.
Right.
Like, which on the one hand, I get it, like maintain the sort of the original game. That's important. But I would have liked to see it sort of be overhauled a little more. So
What about
I would
the UI?
caution you to like fall on the side of that they're not going to change it too much. You know what I mean?
It looks like they've removed some of that UI stuff. Like they've tried to make it less busy, because they have one shot on, I think it's Farron or whatever the colonist planet is, where you're in the Mako and they did a side by side, and like the original UI is just all over the place with like ammo counters and this and that, and then in the remastered one it's just a picture of the Mako and the health bar for the Mako for the UI. So it seems like they're trying to make it less busy.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I guess they're reworking. Yeah, they're reworking the Mako controls as well, which I'm sure fans are going to be outraged about. But you know what? I love that wonky thing.
I
I'm all
love
for
the
it.
Mako.
Oh,
It's
good.
Y'all, what?
It's so much fun just to like treat that.
What a
thing as
hipster ass opinion.
It's just like, you just have to like suspend your disbelief and not imagine that you're actually in a vehicle in the Mass Effect universe. Like every time you're in the Mako, it's like, now I'm just playing some weird janky indie game and I'm all for it. Just for this little
It is
stretch.
very much. It controls like a vehicle in an early access game for sure.
Yeah, Sarah, what stood out to you from the trailer?
I mean, gosh, what stood out to me? Maybe it's just that like I didn't pay enough attention to notice all the beautiful differences. I just got so excited. And honestly, like the thing that I was thinking about most today going into this was, I don't know if you saw Jennifer Hale's tweet of her reaction, which just like, I don't know, like sort of through this like empathic tether, I was just like so overwhelmed with her. It was just so exciting. So I don't know. I think just that maybe that's what stood out to me the most, that it meant so much to her to be featured as FemShep in the trailer when there was this, at the time that it came out, everyone was like, FemShep is really, really resonating with people and she doesn't really have a presence in the marketing materials. And I think a lot about the fact that I am so grateful and lucky to have been featured in the marketing for Anthem.
Yeah.
That it was that Caroline Livingstone, who's their amazing director and voice, casting person, like really, helped make that happen, that it got to be me when it was like a controversial thing to put the women in the mirror, so like it's the fact that that she did so much, that I stand on incredible shoulders, that she sprint. I mean, it's like silly to say that Jennifer Hale walked so I could run. She sprinted so I could crawl, but whatever. It's like, she, I don't know. Just her contribution as a performance and as a character is so important and cherished that like, seeing it hit with her and seeing it in this thing, which was just sort of as like a marker of how we remember this trilogy. Like when you do this remaster, it's like, what do you miss? What do you want? What do you want to see? So that's what I don't know. That's what I took.
Yeah. And they took.
It does feel like a bit of justice, because I remember back in 2012, like all the marketing stuff, a lot of it, at least featuring like the male shepherd, and everyone was just kind of like, really? Because like, female shepherd's voice line or Jennifer Hale's work is so good. Like it's just so much, like, not to crap on Mark Meer, but like it's just like that's the ideal way to play the game. I think like there's just so much more behind those lines.
Yeah, and
at least in my mind, and I think in a lot of people's minds. So to see like her, like FemShep be like the sort of like center of that trailer was so good.
Yeah, and apparently they took the lockdown Mass Effect 3 FemShep and have worked her back, so you can start Mass Effect 1 with that model if you want to go for the archetypical, is that the right word? FemShep. But okay.
The default. But yeah.
With your expert ear, Sarah, I'm curious, like, what is it about Jennifer Hale's performance as Shepard in particular you think that really pops? Like, what is she nailing that you think has resonated so well?
She had this, I remember the significance of giving voice to this character with so many options. I'm not sure. It may have been done before. I may have checked my history, but I don't think that there was a profile or sort of an awareness of this being such a big deal. Before this. I'm such a demonstrative. I'm amazed. Sorry. Anyway, So just the kind of this challenge of voicing a character that has these extremes and shades in between, and sort of what it means to discover a spine. I mean, I studied this, especially like before I knew I was going to be a Bioware lead. I like, just as an actor, I was like, oh, this is a challenge for games. This is like a unique puzzle. How is she approaching this? And I, getting to ask her was amazing. Just being like, well, she's like, look, what she is a military person. That's like her kind of defining thing. There's a certain degree of resilience and toughness and kind of approach to stuff. But within that channel, there's all this richness and intimacy and all kinds of stuff. And so the fact that she came across as consistent and yet still painted with all of these colors, all of this vulnerability and compassion and care and passion and all kinds of stuff, righteous fury, everything. Yeah. And still sound like a unified character is the magic of that performance to me. One bit of magic. That's a great way of putting
it. Yeah, because it's like she's playing 20 characters, not just one.
But they all have to work. Whereas like
she sees them as one, which is why I think why it works is because she sees them as one with different moods or just sort of alternate universes of the same person, and that's why it ties together.
Yeah. And JV, I forget if you played a lot of Cyberpunk, but like it makes me think of V, which we talked about in the deepest dive on Cyberpunk. But I like Cyberpunk 2077, but definitely the character of V, it was definitely a case of rolling the dice with every dialogue option. But like, I don't know which personality of V is going to come out, whereas Shepard always felt consistent in my memory, at least. So like, okay, there's the Shepard range and I'm somewhere in there.
Yeah, no, like my V, it feels like I've only played like 30 or 40 hours of 40 hours of Cyberpunk, maybe 20% of the way through the game. Yeah. Because I'm just like doing a bunch of the side activity stuff. But anytime my V talks in Cyberpunk, she's either really angry or really sad, and there's no like in between. But yeah, with Hail's Shepherd, you get the full range.
That's all we want.
Yeah, well, eventually it'll be really angry, really sad, or really flirty. Those are the three tiers I think that V will eventually hit. But yeah, so just bullet
the challenge of that kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh boy. Sorry. No, but yeah, just talking about bullet points for what they're changing here in Mass Effect 1. I think it's interesting that they're proud of overhauling the look of Eden Prime, not changing the level design layout, but just making that look a little bit more rich. A lot of these details are coming from Eurogamer, and our friends at Game Informer have Mass Effect on the cover, which is very cool to see. Let's see, GamesBeat reported that they're using AI to upscale the textures for Mass Effect 1 just because they had to go through so many here, which I would love to know more about that process and how it worked. They're adding new skin tones, new hairstyle options to Mass Effect. And then, Eurogamer has the big roundup for changes here. They say, a list of other Mass Effect 1 improvements mention enemy and squad AI changes, the removal of class-based weapon restrictions, an XP rebalance so you can hit the game's cap without New Game Plus, more consistent autosave points, boss encounter improvements, reduced cooldown for first aid, a reduction in mini games, and a modernized HUD. So going back to that earlier point. And then also fixing the loading times for the elevator in the Citadel, which is going to be interesting.
Oh, please.
That's it. I've always loved the elevator.
Yeah.
It's just a good sort of resting point. To me, it's like the bonfire in Dark Souls. Okay, let's take a second.
And they chat. Do they chat in one?
Yeah, they chat
in one. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So they'll continue that
sweet elevator chat.
I know. It's kind of like, you mentioned bonfire, but it makes me think of the campfire in the Tales series, just having that moment to kind of bond with your comrades. But I think they'll stretch it out there and still have it in there in some way.
I mean, you still get those discussions.
Yes.
But what's going to happen is once they complete, then you can press a button to just go right to the next point. I mean, I love the bonfire too, Jay, but I don't like spending a minute there.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. I think one of the things that I saw enhancement-wise that was really impressive, I think it might have been Elise who wrote about it over at the Washington Post, is that the art folks are doing work to make the looks of all of your crew consistent through the trilogy.
Yeah.
And they focused on Liara, talking about you will see Liara age, and have stress things, I guess, or stress wear.
Gray hair, I think, is going to be sprouting out.
Yeah, exactly.
Live for how long, though? Of all the people to age, isn't she the one you leave alone?
I think it's the stress stuff, though.
That's fair.
The battle-hardened things.
Shadow brokering is
characters.
hard.
Yes. Yeah. I think that's going to be really cool to see. Yeah. And you mentioned Shadow Broker, I think of the Lair of the Shadow Broker. So this obviously has all the DLC packed in there, and I'm so curious.
Pinnacle Station.
That's
which
right.
No one will miss.
Is that Mass Effect 1?
That's Mass Effect 1.
Oh
which one is that?
It's the one where it's basically the training facility one where Admiral Hackett's like, Shepard, come and do some training exercises for whatever reason. So you go and do a bunch of training exercises. No one ever remembers it. and so when they announced it wasn't coming to the Legendary Edition, people were like, what a loss.
The what now?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I am so curious to see, because I've played, I think, most of the DLC, but not all of it. And so I'm curious to see how this is going to kind of balloon up Mass Effect 2 and 3 in particular when you have all the DLC in there.
I think.
2 basically doubles in size. It goes from 20 to 40 hours if you're doing everything. There's so much to do.
So what besides Lair of the Shadow Broker?
There's Overlord, there's Kasumi, there's the Firewalker. You get basically the Mako replacement, the Firewalker, and that comes with a bunch of missions.
Oh my god.
Right.
Arrival was the last one, I think. Is that what that was called?
Yeah, it's the Mass Effect 3 prequel DLC, whatever that is.
I think it's Arrival.
Yeah, Arrival. Yeah.
And it's officially been too long since I played.
Yeah.
And I thought I'd played it a bunch. I had 3 Shepards throughout all of them. And so I thought I was fancy. I didn't meet Mr. 20-something here. But yeah.
My favorite bit about the DLC is when Mass Effect 2 came out, they had all this DLC tied, kind of like they do for Call of Duty, to Mountain Dew and Chips Ahoy and Doritos and stuff. And that's it's all cosmetic. So it's just you want that goofy helmet? You have to go drive to this gas station 20 miles out of the way from wherever you live to get this one particular kind of Mountain Dew. And that's going to be all in here. And it's all terrible helmets. And it's stuff to make your Shepard look goofy as possible. So I'm very excited about that.
That's fun.
I just wonder, do you think
fun.
it's going to feel significantly different? I mean, is the main storyline going to feel more diluted with all this DLC in there? I mean, there's even characters that I haven't encountered, which is so bizarre for a series I love, but it's like, I don't really know who Kasumi is. I've never interacted with that person.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You never played the Kasumi DLC?
No, somehow I didn't.
Isn't that the one where you go to the party?
Yeah, it's the James Bond ass DLC. It's so much fun.
Oh, wait, but the party one, I always think, isn't that Citadel in Mass Effect 3 where everybody has the party?
Not party with your friends. This is like go to a fancy party. And
Oh, a
with your friend
party.
kind of thing.
I see, a party.
I know people love Shadow Broker the most, and I think that's fair, but Kasumi is probably my favorite one because it's like the strangest one in terms of like what they do with the Mass Effect mission structure.
Yeah.
Like it plays like nothing else in the rest of that game, and it's just so much fun. And Kasumi's a great character to have alongside for the rest of the game. It's so good.
Oh, cool.
I would like to say about Kasumi that my memory of this is that it's really like when you have an Asian character, there's so many ways you can mess that up as far as like stereotypes. And my memory of Kasumi is that she's like, she's an assassin or whatever she is. She's some sort of mysterious, shadowy operative.
Yeah, she's like a half thief.
Or a thief or something.
Assassin. Yeah. It's never. It's kept vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my memory of her is her being warm and accessible, even though she maintains that kind of air of mystery and like and sort of which is what you want. You don't want it to be like, I don't know, a mysterious Asian person, and you're like, no, she's cool, she's dope, and you can hang. That was important to me. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah,
they're really. I mean, Bioware's really good about that stuff.
Ben, just to go back to your original or to your question about how much it'll like affect, your playthrough, like meeting all these characters that you've never seen. It won't matter that much in 2, but in 3, it matters a lot. Because like they go out of their way to sort of make sure that everyone reckons with your choices. And like with Kasumi, I think there's like 4 or 5 ways her story can play out within a contained chapter in 3, depending on your choices, and it's super good.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Like you should do as much as you can in Mass Effect 1 and 2 just so you get the really good payoff in 3, because I feel like 3 is a lesser game if you don't do that stuff. Like it's still really good, but you just miss out on so much.
Yeah, I mean,
imagine if you like didn't recruit Rex or something. You were like, what are you doing?
Or got Rex killed, as some people have done.
Yeah,
which is easy to.
That absolutely happened to me, and it was heartbreaking. But it's like, well, I'm sticking with it. It's one of my favorite moments from that series, even though it's like, well, I really like that character, but I'm gonna roll with this because I remember, God, this is really taking me back. But I remember role playing Mass Effect 1. Well, I guess we should dodge spoilers, but. Basically, I was role playing. I think that's fair, Sarah. People are going to be playing this for the first time. But I was playing.
Children.
I was playing Mass Effect 1 is like, what if my Shepard is just like accepting and loving, but just really hates Krogans? Is just like all in on like very targeted.
Like your RP, dude. I really like you. You and Ashley must have had lots of
No, because Ashley, she hates all the races. I was accepting everybody except for those Krogans. I just didn't trust them. And
was that your big picture of the rest of your career? You're like, I'm nicer than Ashley, though. Like, I just hate this one race.
But it turns out that that's a choice that really has ramifications, and I did not see it coming, and it was brutal. But hey, good times, Mass Effect, everybody. I hope that it's as good as we all remember it. I feel like it's so nice to see BioWare get a win. It's been a little while since everyone's been like, F yeah, BioWare. And it seems like with the building of this remaster, I think all the fans are in unison here, happy as far as I can tell so far.
Yeah, there have been some folks, when we were talking earlier about Vermeer's sort of screenshots, like there have been some people who got frustrated, like, oh, they took away the big red apocalyptic sky and put in a bunch of lens flare and stuff.
Really?
And I kind of get that concern. Yeah. There was like, it was more like a subreddit of people than rather like an army, of disgruntled folks. But I do get kind of the concerns of like, when you have a remaster, what they choose to touch up on and remove. I don't mind it that much, but I could see someone's like, who's really into the introduction of the first Mass Effect stepping onto this beautiful planet, but seeing it sort of like shrouded in doomsday environment sort of stuff, coming to the remaster and seeing that gone as being sort of disappointing. But it does seem like most people are really on board. I'm definitely on board, but I think I'm also desperate because I've just wanted to play like Mass Effect on a console again and not on my PC.
Especially because Mass Effect 1, I don't think they had controller support for the PC version, right?
Nope, they did not.
That's so
That's another
wild.
thing that they fixed. Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
But yeah, I'm super excited. So
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm happy. I can't wait. Can I, before we leave Mass Effect 1, can I just shout out, as the voice actor on this thing, that I love Fred Tatasciore performance as Saren. I think it's amazing. And Fred does not get cast as like, he's the creature guy, or he's a big goof, or he's like Baird in Gears. Like and just being this like immensely Shakespearean villain, just dripping with gravitas and intellect is like not something that I always see from him. And I think he's freaking amazing.
I love Saren so
great.
much.
I actually think like Mass Effect 1's best feature, and it comes at the cost of the rest of the trilogy, is Saren. I don't think there's ever been a better villain in that series. And it kind of sucks that like going to 2 and 3, and 2's my favorite game, but like it's like, oh, here's this vague army of bad dudes that you can't really sympathize with, but Saren is so sympathetic and evil at the same time. It's so much fun.
It's such a
big Saren fan.
It's a small thing, and it's probably coming down to like labeling from EA in some way. But I always love the idea that for the soundtrack for Mass Effect 1, Saren's theme is just the game over music, which is such an awesome, like do 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 do, which I heard a lot in Mass Effect 1 because I remember dying quite a bit. And so this subtle connection, like, oh, that is his theme. He wins every time you lose.
Before we leave the music, can I talk about the music for 1 second?
Please do, because I want to talk more about it too.
Because the menu music and the menu looms very, very large in my kind of games and voiceover career picture. Like if I were to distill it kind of down to one image, it would be kind of that.
Yeah.
So like when I left, I left school and I moved to New York, and we had like a mattress on the floor, and the TV I had was like my dad's RCA, like 3 foot deep old thing. And I was playing this game that I was like, I'd been a BioWare fan. But that's when it came out, and like just falling asleep to that menu music, like playing it late into the night and then just falling asleep to it, is such a like vivid memory. And like, that was just sort of the beginning of everything. And so like to me, there's kind of really with KOTOR, I suppose, as far as like being aware of what voice acting was and games voice acting in general, but like Mass Effect being the beginning of trying to become a professional in something and anything, and then finding my way to Anthem player character, is like, those are the two kind of big poles to me. Yeah. And so like just that music is so like immediately brings back a very distinct time in my life.
Well, are you ready to have that distinct time in your life brought back? Let's savor this a little bit.
A vigil.
Don't fall asleep.
No matter what.
Like lullaby music for you.
Cry.
See, this is my problem with the Legendary Edition marketing so far, is they've had 2 new songs, or maybe they're like remixes of subtle songs from the trilogy for the trailers. If they just had this music, I understand it's not the most energetic trailer music, but they could have the more like iconic Mass Effect sounds in those trailers. And the fact that they go for like a song that people aren't emotionally attached to just seems insane. Like if you're bringing back Terminator,
you stop playing it because you don't want me to just dissolve.
Sorry, yeah. What song won't make you cry? Let's boot it up real quick here.
No, I don't mind crying as long as you don't mind me crying.
To that point, Hanson, there's a lot of runway left for like PR before that game comes out.
That's true.
I'm sure we will have a Vigil trailer at some point.
Do you think? I guess.
It feels stupid not to.
I know. And everybody's so emotional about the Legendary Edition trailer, and that's great. I don't hold anything against it, but it's like, I just feel like they could bring the house down if they brought back just like the iconic synth of Mass Effect in those trailers.
I mean, I think the problem here is like they have to sell Mass Effect to other people besides like the 4 people in this chat room. You know, like, yeah.
What do you mean?
Sell it, Sarah, to the babies you talked about earlier.
I'm sorry. I love you, babies. Love it.
So, I mean, it makes kind of sense that like the first like thing is so action packed and stuff.
I guess so. Yeah. I went back and watched our old interviews that we shot back at Game Informer for the Mass Effect 3 cover story trip, which was early 2011. Went up to Edmonton for that. And it really made me laugh because I forgot how much of the messaging in that from like Casey Hudson during the interviews is he'd be talking about how great Mass Effect is and all that stuff. And then he would always slip in a sly reference to like, and by the way, Mass Effect 3 is a great place to start. Like that was like part of like the marketing message for Mass Effect 3 where it's like, I know you have to say that.
I mean, I know Casey has to say that, but come on.
It's just absurd.
You know better.
Did
Do
you
you
work?
guys remember that they had Mass Effect 3 on the Wii U and absolutely no other Mass Effect?
I do remember vaguely that it was better with Kinect, but I can't remember how or why. Yeah. Sarah, did you work with Casey Hudson on Anthem, or did you record that stuff before he came back to BioWare? What was that timeline
He was
like?
there, but I didn't I met him once.
Okay.
I met him at PAX. They did a big reveal or like a big panel at PAX, which Nick Tarabay kind of moderated. And I think I met him then, but I don't believe that we interacted outside of that. But that was definitely overlap in tenure, when he came back.
Oh, nice. Were there other folks that you worked with at BioWare that you want to spotlight as just being brilliant? You mentioned the voice director. What was her name again?
I mean, I love friggin' everybody that I work. I mean, Caroline Livingstone. Caroline Livingstone is the secret sauce of all of the things that the subtlety, the interesting choices, like so much in these performances that subvert, stereotypes and expectations and are just so wonderful. Like that's all, so much of that is her taste and her cultivation and her being an actor's director. She's got an acting background, theater background. And she's just amazing. She's funny. She's fantastic. So working with Caroline was a dream come true. But kind of everybody that I worked with. I mean, Parrish Lay was our cinematic lead, and Parrish just indulged the hell out of me. Like I would be on the performance capture stage and like bugging him with questions because I wanted to understand the player's experience and everything that I could about and so I would bug him with gameplay stuff, and he would be so indulgent and patient with me. And Patrick Michalek, who now is at Insomniac, was our dialogue coordinator. And I love working with Patrick. It's awesome. Patrick was like my rock. Anytime I would be like about to spin out or like sort of on the set, Patrick's a very soothing influence. And it's been wonderful working with him, working with Insomniac since then. Everybody. I mean, Ashley, one of our producers. I mean, everyone. Everyone that I worked with in my little section, which was so removed. I didn't get a chance to like go to the office and meet with other folks.
Right.
Although we do follow each other on Twitter a bit. Was great.
Yeah.
It was great. I loved my cast. I'm still friends with Nick Tarabay. Like, did not see that. I did not picture a world in which a goofy dweeb like me would be like really good friends with Nick Tarabay, but we are. And that's so special. And a special product of getting to do performance capture and have a cast feeling. Getting to play with TJ Ramini. Like, yeah. Really treasured memories.
What is the state of the Anthem community? Because I feel like in some ways...
I wish I knew. I don't know.
I mean, you must have super fans, though, that reach out or on the Reddits. Hang on, you're wincing like this doesn't exist. Surely there are Anthem super fans out there, right?
They don't come to my door.
What?
I mean, actually, that's not true. I think someone who tagged in our conversation, you and me, was like, hey, remember how they played your sex radio drama? Remember
what?
The Jurassic World Revealed, where it just sounds like
oh my god, you were the voice on Jurassic World Revealed.
That's all me, baby. That's all me. And that is what happens when you take any kind of exertion noise outside of a visual cue in video game. Like in video games, you have all those cues to tell you that it's violence and running and whatever. But if you just listen to the audio, it's just heavy panting.
Oh wait, what was your that podcaster's name in Jurassic World Revealed?
Damn it, Best.
I love that game.
Oh, I'm so glad.
I mean, it's absurd,
so
but I don't know if you caught, we played the entire thing on a podcast, I think, and it was so silly and so much fun just to scream into a stupid animal on Alexa to interact with dinosaurs.
My background is radio dramas. That was like a big way into discovering voiceover in college. And so getting to work with Earplay over the years, I also did Codename Cygnus with them. And I love interactive audio drama. Like, I think it's just so intimate and it's wonky, but it's very, very close, and I love that about it.
Take this in the spirit in which it's intended, but Codename Cygnus, people have been recommending it. Would it be as funny to play as Jurassic World Revealed? Is it goofy, or is it more just good?
It's spy goofy.
Okay.
It's spy goofy. I mean, it's like a man, a spy, and it's so you've got a lot of tropes in there. Like I honestly love that character to bits. He was like, "What do you want to play?" Which no one ever asked. They were like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "Oh, have I got some ideas?" So I got to be kind of like a Ms. Moneypenny that was like very buttoned up and efficient, but had like a super crush on her boss and would get really flustered, which is just like the dream. Like just a little bit of capable and a little bit of not capable or falling apart is like the perfect balance for me. So super fun. I'm not sure. I don't know how it holds up now. I think they have done, since getting Dave Gilbert involved, they've done a real overhaul on their gameplay and tried to avoid. Codename Cygnus does a lot of like, how do you want to do this? Like, do you want to be cool or do you want to be like aggressive? And Dave, I think what Dave brought to it was like, less sort of signifying the how of what you're about to do and more like, do you want to take this item? What do you want to do? And we'll show you kind of how that plays out. And I think that works out well for them. So
not to get too geeky. Is it Dave Grossman?
Gilbert.
Wait.
No, Grossman. Jesus.
Because Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman work together, so that's totally understandable.
It is. Oh my God, Dave! I'm gonna look so.
No,
gross.
that's fine.
Yes,
that's
fine.
fine.
I've just been talking with Dave Gilbert, who does adventure games at Wajidai Games, and that's why it's in my brain. But it is 1,000% the icon that is Dave Grossman, who I love and is amazing.
Yes, going back to Day the Tentacle, all that good stuff.
Just to call out Dave Gilbert's games rule.
Hey.
Yeah, all those are really good.
A fan once referred to me as the Sean Bean of Wajidai Games because I die in all of them. So
congratulations.
I love it. That's my favorite nickname.
Okay, before we fully leave
Grossman.
Mass Effect behind, Zach Einck from the community he says, hello. With all the excitement with Mass Effect Legendary Edition, I put together a little game for you, JV, called List Off the Mass Effect Species.
Oh, okay.
Andromeda races not included, and in addition to DLC races like the Yogg, Prothean, Leviathans, those aren't included. So no DLC or Andromeda races.
I don't know if I can get all of them, but I think I can do pretty good.
Oh my God. Okay, hang on.
All right.
Okay, Kyle, start the clock.
I'm excited.
Okay, go for it.
On your mark, get set. Let me find the clock app. Go.
Human.
Correct.
Solarian, Turian, Quarian, Krogan, Batarian. Oh no. The big jellyfish monsters. I don't know what those are.
Starts with an H.
The big nasty are the ones who enunciate everything, who enunciate all their moods. I can't remember what kind of.
Oh, those are cool.
Oh yeah, I can't remember. L-Cores.
There we go. All right.
Yeah. I don't remember the jellyfish ones though. Collector. Hanari.
Close enough. Hanar. Right?
Hanar.
Yes.
Vocal warm-up?
Asari.
Yes.
Volus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gods. What is it?
There's another one that's actually
There's another V.
There's another V.
There's another V.
Yep.
I can't do the
Very
effect
cool
right now.
humans.
My voice. Mark Meir also plays this species, which is fun.
They're
They're one of those alien species that are supposed to be ugly and gross, but it'd be nice if like one of them was good looking. Nasty.
They're very
hissy nasty.
Yeah.
Starts with a V.
Bore.
is there a teammate one?
No. They're too nasty for that.
Promethean or
Nope. Prothean, that's the DLC.
Prothean.
Doesn't count.
No, they were in the original game. They count.
Okay.
Mentioned? Yeah.
Yeah, that counts.
Yeah.
They're a plot point, Ben.
Vorch.
Oh, Vorchka?
Vorcha. Just Vorcha, yeah.
I forgot about them. I tried to wipe them from my memory. Yeah, I think that's all I got, y'all.
Okay.
What are the short? Did we already name those?
There's a couple more. Yeah, the Volus, right?
We said Volus.
Volus, yeah.
Okay, what about, this is debatable. I guess you'd call them a race.
That was really good, though.
They're less a race and
2
more
minutes.
of a people. Let's see. It's kind of a counterpart to the Quarians? What is Tally?
Quarians?
Yes. Think of the yin to their yang.
Oh, Geth.
Geth, there we go.
Yeah, I guess that counts. I think they'd want to be identified as a people, so I guess it counts.
Yeah, let's see. You mentioned them as not being a very good antagonist.
Oh, I thought it said collectors.
Did you? Okay, well, I didn't hear it, but counting it now.
I didn't say Reapers, though. I didn't say
Correct. Reapers are counted, apparently, and there's one more. Think of your dear friend Elise Favis. And
Thane, whatever Thane's stupid Drell.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Actually,
Drell.
he lists it just as whatever Thane's stupid race is. The Drell, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations.
Of course, I forgot the Drell.
Do you want to hear a funny story about?
Pretty good.
That's really good.
Yay.
Yes, Sarah.
I should stop bringing it up because now I am just friends with these people, and like the more I bring it up, the more that they remember that's how we first met. But it was first of all, it was just really funny meeting all my Bioware romances at my agency, like in the flesh. But when I like called into a meeting of some sort, like a sort of community meeting, and I like and I don't know what did this. I swear there was some reason I said this out loud with my mouth. But I was like, oh yeah, I made you two have sex. To like Keith Farley and Jennifer Hale.
Jesus.
I don't know Why? They were like, oh, Sarah plays games or something. I don't know what that like context would have been, but that's definitely like one of the first things I said to Keith Farley ever in my life.
That is amazing.
Sarah, who would you put on like the Mount Rushmore of video game voice acting other than yourself?
Wow.
Jennifer Hale, I'll just put up there. She'll be our Jefferson. Mm-hmm. Who else you got?
Yeah. God, this is hard. I mean, it's hard. I'm going to leave some people out.
Only got 4.
4?
Yeah, Mount Rushmore rules.
Fudge. Well, I think Ashley Johnson should be on there.
Okay.
I mean, I think, all right, my new rules are going to be like, who are my sort of beacons in my own kind of, who like stands out to me as people that have lit my path.
So this is like a custom private Mount Rushmore for your own backyard.
This is my own rules. Yes. Right. Okay. This is like Sarah's. Right. Mm-hmm. I think that Nolan North has to be on there for Drake. I think that, who else has to be on there? Yuri.
And literally every other video game worth noting.
That's
Drake
true.
Right. Of course.
Put him up there.
Yeah. Yes. It's there for Drake because that was like the big, I was like, oh, look at how natural and spontaneous and fun you are. But yes, sure. Also the personality sphere in Portal, if you want to be fancy. Yeah. And I think there was, Yuri Lowenthal. His Spider-Man rocked my world.
It's so good.
Really rocked my stocks in a very video game way. Like that is someone who like lives in this world, in this idiom so beautifully and brings so much depth to it, but is very much in the tone and handles all of these video gamey aspects of, you know, whether it's like the 2 kinds of swinging voice or just whatever else is in there is just so impeccable and really beautifully done. So yeah, is that 4? I think it is 4.
Wait, okay, 3. Yeah. And then Jennifer Hale. All right. Carve it. Here we go. Yes, JV.
I was just going to say, I've been playing a lot of Hitman recently, and one of my favorite little joys of rediscovery is like the original Hitman from 2016 is that so many of the characters are voiced by Yuri.
Oh,
and
yeah.
every time I have to kill one of them, I feel bad because I feel like I'm killing Spider-Man. Yeah, like on the Showstopper Paris level, it feels like all the bodyguards have Yuri's voice.
Oh my God, he's doing a screaming voice.
I just feel so bad.
Ugh.
That's funny.
Kyle Hilliard, are you on this podcast?
Yeah, I'm here.
Welcome, sir. You had a weird thing where you jumped in our Slack the other day and you said, hey, everybody, the DLC for Resident Evil 7 is freaking nuts, and why don't people talk about it?
It's weird. Yeah.
So hang on. Did you replay all of Resident Evil 7?
No, I played it when it came out and really loved it. And then just because I was excited about 8, I just went and bought like the edition that has all the DLC and played through all that.
It's JV silently mouthing I did too, which is great for a podcast.
I did too. I saw it like, it's like $15 more. Yeah. Because when I was at GI, I just stole the library copy to play the game. Not stole, borrowed. To play Resident Evil 7 and then haven't touched it since. So I figured, I'll go ahead and play this while we're waiting for the tall lady game. Yep.
Yeah. How
so you started over though, JB, right?
Yeah, I started over. I'm doing a whole new.
How does it? How's the base game aged for you, JB?
Pretty good. There are some things that I'm not wild about. Like I just did that chainsaw fight with Jack, and I think that's not good at all. I think it's a brilliant concept that's just not fun to play.
It's tough.
But on the whole, like the atmosphere is great. I just love how well they translated the Resident Evil experience to first person with dabs of like PT and Outlast and stuff. I think it really works. I think for them trying to like completely change like the perspective of their games and go in a different direction while still honoring what made those games so good in the first place. Like it's really well done. But there are nitpicks that I have.
Resident Evil in a
I don't like the molded enemies. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But, I love the southern setting, but I'm from the south, so it feels like I'm kind of like that's just automatic. I think it works really well.
Right. Like this reminds me of
vibe.
This is like my dinner scenes when I was a child.
Yeah. This was just dinner with the relatives. Yeah.
But Kyle, the DLC,
so
is it like
jokey? To run down the DLC quickly, like there's Not a Hero where you play as Kris, which is pretty straightforward, more Resident Evil 7. If you want that, that's where it is. It's good. You fight Lucas, right? The brother again.
Yeah.
In that one. But then it goes like off the rails. End of Zoe, You play as Jack's brother, and you do not wield a gun through the course of the whole thing.
Ooh.
You punch all the enemies.
That's
it's like
awesome.
there's like combos for fist fighting and stuff like that. And I tweeted about it because it's so weird. You have to like punch through doors and stuff like that. And like you're like, get away from my niece, and you're just like punching these moldy monsters. And,
That's a really good
actually,
it totally like blindsided me. I did not expect it to be that way at all. And like I was tweeting about it, and someone was like, the final upgrade that you get in that DLC is like some of my favorite in video games, period. And I was like, all right, we'll see. But when I got it, I was like, this is incredible. I won't spoil it because I think people are.
Okay, heads up.
Here, should I spoil it? And then we like.
Yeah, you should spoil it.
Heads up, spoiler for Resident Evil 7 DLC happening for the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, so you get basically like a mechanized fist that you can charge up and punch zombies even harder. And it's like it's insane. It's got a little computer voice that's like charging. So
it's like the Fallout like fist, like the big gauntlet. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah.
Is this game to be so wacky? It sounds great.
I know it's wacky even on Resident Evil terms, which is like that game, that series can go off the rails, but this was even like a lot for me. And then there's also a mode where you play blackjack with the fear of your fingers getting cut off, which is like surprisingly intense and scary.
My God.
There's a mode where you like have to Jack, the main villain of the game, is sitting at a table with a party hat on, and you have to go around and collect food from the house to feed him while fighting the zombies. And then it's like it's stuff like that. It's so wild and weird. It's like totally worth diving into, especially for me who's like, I want to revisit RE7, but I don't want to start over like JV did. Like I don't want to like go through the whole experience, but to just get a taste and some extension of the story too, like that is in there. It's fantastic. Like it's totally worth.
Can I jump to just the DLC?
Yes. Yeah, you can.
Well, you have to start the game first and play through the intro, and then once you're through the intro, you exit out. It takes you to the main menu. Then you can access the DLC.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Yeah, I did have my old save. Yeah, and there's also another puzzle room. I don't know if you remember these from RE7, but it's like there's no combat. It's just solving. It's basically like a digital escape room, which there was like 2 or 3 in the main game that I loved, and they have like a standalone one where the mother like found someone out in the wild who was like shooting a documentary about alligators and like straps you into a bed, and you need to figure out how to get out of the bed, and like you have to like, you know, take down paintings to find stuff, but she'll come back every few minutes. So while you're searching, you have to like put things back up on the wall so she doesn't notice that you've been trying to get out. So it's just
Misery, the DLC?
Yeah. Right, yeah.
Hell 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. It's really good. I hope Resident Evil 8 has more stuff like that where it's like these dedicated escape room puzzle areas, because I really like it in those games for sure.
I'm excited for Resident Evil 8 just because it looks like Bloodborne. Like,
just visually?
Resident Evil. Like the first time I saw a screenshot for it, I legit thought they were just posting Bloodborne screenshots. Like it's just straight up like 1-1.
It's a genius marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that really tall lady? I don't know if people are really talking about it, but she's
I've ever been on the internet.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The internet told me that she invented sex, actually. It happened like a couple months ago. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about the tall lady. I know we talked about her too much on last week's episode or something, but I was thinking about just where the hell is this coming from on the internet other than people's, brains. But I was like, it feels like, and this is maybe too much of a stretch, but it feels like the same running joke enthusiasm with, like, I don't know if you guys watched John Oliver in Last Week Tonight, but like his bit about what he wants Adam Driver to do to him, I feel like the internet has picked that up since that stopped and transferred all of that momentum to the tall lady in Resident Evil 8. This is my working theory.
Tim Mestrescu is the new Adam Driver.
Yes, exactly.
That's awesome.
Someday they'll get
that running joke was great. The payoff was wonderful.
It just feels like the Hades stuff all over again, I guess, but on a bigger scale.
Right. Yes.
Because everyone.
Is it like a COVID? I was going to get very anthropological. I'm like, is it a COVID thing that all our kinks are just raging? Like, what is it? I mean, it's like.
No, I still think Bowsette is the starting line for this thing. Like, honestly, that was pretty cool.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could be right. Hey, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Kyle, we're a couple of Destruction All-Stars on PlayStation 5, the new PlayStation 5 exclusive. It's the PS Plus game, so if you have a PS5, you got it, basically. JV, have you checked this out yet by chance?
I've downloaded it,
but
it's one of those things where, like, I'm trying to go through Resident Evil now. I'm trying to, like, master all the levels in Hitman. It's on the list, and I'll get to it. But I want to play it. But
Kyle,
I also want to replay all of Control in 60 frames. Too, so
there's a lot to get to. But Kyle, I don't know if you've had thoughts about it going in, but I realized like a couple weeks ago, like, you know what? I'm looking forward to Destruction All-Stars. I will have it on my PS5. I'm hungry for another PlayStation 5 game. It's cool to have an exclusive. I like Twisted Metal. I like silly games like this. So I was surprisingly excited going in, and then played it a bit last night and said, you know, it's cool to see this generation's like B games. You know, it's nice to see that B tier level game with like a PlayStation 5 level of production where it's like, it still looks and plays pretty good, even if you realize what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, animation's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, that's like the selling point for me. I mean, my big surprise, this was just a dumb lack of research on my part, but when the PlayStation Studios logo popped up at the front, I was like, I didn't realize this was a first-party game.
It's like, wild, isn't it? Yeah. So if you're not familiar, it is part Twisted Metal, part Rocket League, part Onrush. You're in a car, but you can jump out of the car. Not just jump out. It's very satisfying. You can like launch yourself out, kind of like you can in Arkham Knight out of the Batmobile, just like a boing.
Or Interstate 82, which is a game no one has ever heard of, except people who got PC Gamer demo discs.
Oh.
What about Pursuit Force? Is that another one that no one's ever heard of?
No.
I've never heard of that.
It's kind of like
Let's leave the
Rumble
babies
Racing.
behind. We welcomed them in. Let's kick them out.
But yeah, it feels like
Demo discs.
it feels like a throwback to kind of that PS1, PS2 era racing game. Even stuff like Kinetica. You know, it's just like, oh, it's cool to see Sony funding something new, to take a chance on this studio. Lucid Games is their name, and they've done a bunch of support projects. Like they worked on Geometry Wars 3 and technically worked on Jedi Fallen Order and stuff. But it's cool to see them, you know, get a big up at bat here, even if you play it and after a while, kind of if you had the same experience. But at the end of it, I was like, this is as Blank Check would put it, this is a gentleman's 7. Like, but the fact that we all have it on PS Plus is a good home for it.
It's like, I love the look. I maybe look's not the right word, but the animation was really like thrilling to me. And like the controls of it, like driving feels good, jumping out of the car and running around feels good. The controlling the character actually has a little bit of a sucker punch feel to it, like an Infamous, kind of like the way you jump and stuff like that, which I love. But like the sort of the main core loop of the game of like crashing into cars is like kind of unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to get like a really good crash. And it's one of those things where I was like, man, I would love these getting in and out of car mechanics in like an open world game. You know what I mean? Just like being able to drive around and jump between cars and like an open world city would be great. But like, it's not bad. Like it's worth checking out. But like, I don't know if it's not one that's probably going to be a big hook for me. You know?
JV, may I interest you? The game does have wall running.
Ooh. Well, is it good wall running? Is it Titanfall 2 wall running?
It's no Titanfall 2 wall running, but it's solid wall running.
Are you a sommelier of wall running?
JV's the expert.
Yes.
I'm
very picky about my wall running.
He has so many scuff marks.
Wall running?
Wait, what?
What's the best wall running?
Titanfall 2.
Okay.
Like, undisputed.
Well, how do you feel about
hard
Prince
for
of
me to like.
All right.
Yeah.
Kyle?
What about Prince of Persia, like in general?
No.
Like, is the platform you don't
get the hell out of here, Kyle?
Leave.
Don't kid yourself. I'm curious how Destruction All-Stars is going to age on one specific front. The same thing that Astro does, where when you're running around on foot, they are just desperate to show off the DualSense. So they have the controller vibrate like left foot, right foot as you're running around. And I think this is going to be one of those things that by the end of the generation, we're going to look back on and just be like, what is this? Why did we think this was going to be a new staple for running, is to have the vibration in specific hands? It's so silly.
Control does the same thing.
Really?
On PS5. Actually, it's towards the back, but every step that Jess takes, the control rumbles a very tiny bit to try and simulate the fact that you're walking on like granite or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's a choice, but I'm probably going to turn it off, hopefully, within an hour.
Yeah, it's a choice,
but it's
and
one
you
of
have the
those
choice
like,
off.
we can really be immersive sort of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Anything that your brain filters in life is maybe not worth investing in a... Maybe not. I don't know. What do I know? I'm not.
Who knows?
No, that's
Who
an
knows?
interesting way to put it. I like that.
But yeah, Destruction All-Stars, I'm curious what people think about it. Maybe it'll get a little bit of a groundswell here. They're trying to position it as, you know, the Fall Guys, as a Rocket League, like get on there in PS Plus. It's a good strategy and a good place for it, I think.
It has potential. Yeah.
Has potential. Let's see.
That'll be on my tombstone. Anyway.
So we have some plugs. Let's see. Kyle, do you know how this whole thing operates?
You know, I've heard rumor that it's a Patreon.
That's right.
But I can't confirm this or deny it.
I can actually confirm it for you. It's patreon.com/MinnMax with 2 N's. If you support us at any tier, you get access to the wonderful Discord. You can submit comments and questions for us to read on the show. And if you support us at a higher tier, we will read a plug for whatever you want on the podcast. Sarah, again, because you're a voice expert, you're welcome to judge how I'm plugging these. Or if you want me to ship over these plugs and you can read it because you're an expert, that's also an option.
I can read something if you want. Where would I find it to read?
That's a good question. All right. So the first one's from BeatenDownBrian. Let me send it to you. It's in the group chat.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it's very voicey. That's fun.
All right. The floor is yours.
Okay. Right. That's it. No more messing around. I want you folks at home to take out a notepad and jot this down. Leo Vader. Now, the second this podcast ends, and I mean the second it ends, I want you to open up YouTube and type that into the search bar and then go sub to Leo's channel. Leo's is creating absolutely fantastic video essays covering a wide variety of topics as well as streaming every Sunday. If you're a fan of MinnMax and you're not sub to Leo's channel, then you're doing it wrong. And frankly, I'm a little embarrassed for you right now.
Beautiful. That's a plug, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, BeatenDownBrian.
I went and unsubscribed just so I could resub.
BeatenDownBrian is such a generous guy in the community. He's been rotating out who he's plugging every single week. And yeah, for his grand finale here, he wanted to plug Leo Vader's channel, which
Sweet.
I don't even know if it needs a plug at this point. It is blowing up. We're so happy for him. It's crazy. His video about Now You See Me.
I'm pulling it up right now to get the number, Hanson.
I think it's close to 1 million, isn't it?
It's getting there.
It's absurd.
Now You See Me, like the movie?
So yeah, he made a video about trying to break down whether or not the magicians in Now You See Me are wizards.
Yeah, it's magic.
It
like
seems
real magic, not like pro magic.
That's the
it's
idea.
Dumb magic.
Yes.
Watch the video.
Yeah, so please check that out.
Okay.
But,
Sounds like I have a ride ahead of me.
Go support Leo on his solo
follow
channel.
my own
It's
advice.
Really cool.
Yeah, 902 is where it's at.
Oh my
which
God.
is so exciting. I've been tracking it. I'm so happy for him.
We should go set fireworks off outside his house when he actually hits 1 million for that sucker. But also, hey, look at prettygoodprinting.com. You can go to prettygoodprinting.com/MinnMax to check out what they have available there. Pretty Good Printing is a one-man print shop run by Seth. If you want stickers, invitations, banners, graphic design, and more, check out prettygoodprinting.com. You can use the promo code MinnMax, one word, 2 N's, of course, for 10% off. You can follow him on Instagram at prettygoodprinting. Seth says it would mean the world to me and my family if you considered using us for anything you might need. So please, prettygoodprinting.com. Good folks there. And you know they're good folks.
Family into it.
I know. Isn't that a good sucker punch? But Seth is a good guy because he's willing to give away MinnMax sticker packs to people in the community. And let's play a quick round of game case trivia, video game trivia here. So everybody watching us in the Backstage Pass, look alive. First one to guess the name of the game based on the back of the box description, omitting keywords, will get a Pretty Good Printing sticker pack. Now, JV and Sarah and Kyle, no matter what, you can't buzz it. Maybe if you think you know it, you can raise your hand quietly and subtly and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Look
right.
alive, Backstage Pass. Here we go. Cut what you will. Blank marks a departure from blank's formula with the birth of a new high-speed action game featuring the cyborg blank. What threats await in a world where privatized military organizations and cyborg technology have spiraled out of control? Find out in this dream collaboration between the legendary creators at blank and blank. Bob Buell, ladies and gentlemen.
Buell.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. Congratulations.
Oh, damn.
Cut what you will. It's such a
I
good
know.
The
specific.
It was
sheer
right there.
glee that popped up on Kyle's face when he got it was so good.
And then the amount of agony as it went on without him being able to
Like,
say.
it was a very simple sort of animation.
We all forget that
Kyle.
We all forget that the starting line for that game's marketing was Raiden cutting a watermelon
It's so
in a
awesome.
very specific way.
That should have been the start and
They knew
end.
their audience.
Oh,
They
hell
very-
Would Revengeance
That's
have a
spent
bigger...
hours in Metal Gear Solid 2, like just breaking shit in that kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Exactly,
messing
yeah.
with the physics in that game.
I took a whole game of this. And then they gave it to you in a big way. Sorry, what were you going to say, Sarah?
Oh, no. I was just wondering if if people would ship, what's with Jessica now. What's Raiden?
Oh,
Raiden just seems like it would sit squarely in our horny swamp.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Pantheon.
I'm sure somebody has the fan art of like cutting her legs down so she's his height. I don't know. There's some sort of thing you can do there.
All right.
Something.
It's too aggressive.
Well, it's like, how do you combine tall brand, cut brand? Yeah.
Anyways, hey, thanks to I'm8bit as well. They want everybody to know that you can get Grindstone on the Switch, the game that was formerly on the Apple Arcade. You can now get it on the Switch, and you can get the vinyl soundtrack as well on I'm8bit's wonderful store. This is the game from Capybara that Kyle says is
the best mobile game in years. I'm sure it's even better on Switch.
Right.
I love that game. It's fantastic.
I love it too.
It's Cappy, is that what you said?
Yeah. Grindstone is the name of the game. It's the physical edition you can get from I'm8bit, and it comes with a custom reversible cover sheet, and then you can actually color on your own. So the physical edition comes with crayons, and then you can draw your own Switch case and make it a reversible cover. So please check that out. Also, the soundtrack is on I'm8bit store, and you can use the promo code Valentine's all month long to get 10% off anything in I'm8bit store that's under $100. And because I'm8bit is so generous, every single week they ship something out from their wonderful online store to the MinnMax community based on what we consider our favorite question of the week. So the winner this week, whoever we choose, and realistically you, Sarah, so look alive, whichever person submits the best question here, we will ship out the Battletoads in Battle Maniacs vinyl soundtrack from I'm8bit. So look alive. Thank you, I'm8bit. JV Gwaltney, you do not even want to hear these questions because you're going to have so many takes about it. We couldn't handle them. So we're going to have to let you go, dude.
Obnoxious. That'd be very obnoxious. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug before you clap out?
Go buy Hitman 3, I guess.
Yes.
Because I work PR on that, and it's a great game. Outside of that, it's really good. Go buy it. Go play it.
And go go support, an indie dev like IO. Like, it's so cool that they're pulling this off and that game is as beloved as it is. Dan and Leo Vader have been streaming Hitman 3, and their streams have been hilarious. You can check it out on Dan's Twitch channel.
He's very
good
at killing people with banana.
It's his claim to fame. Well, thank you for being here, JV. It's nice to talk to you again, dude.
Yep. All right. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Bye.
Yep,
bye. Jeff Marchiafava joining the podcast, baby.
Hey.
Welcome. Jeff, this is Sarah. Sarah, this is Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, did you play Anthem?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, do you remember if you chose a male or female freelancer?
You know where this is going. So just, be gentle. It's fine.
I want to say female, and I think it was the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game.
Stop it. Now you're being mean to me. I know when I'm being macked.
No. Okay, here we go. Community questions. Sarah, remember all these. Remember which one's your favorite, please. It's very important.
Okay.
There's a huge prize. Okay, first question comes from Charles Davis, who writes in. He says, I have a game for you to enjoy. It's called GG Muppets GG. There are no right or wrong answers, no winners or losers, just some good old-fashioned imagined fun. I'm going to name a game/universe, and I want you all to think of the Muppets version of this video game and who would be cast as who.
Oh, wow.
Okay, there's a lot. Oh, my God. There's a lot of options here. We can't run through all these.
Oh, there are options. They gave us the options.
They did.
Oh, great.
Okay, well, let's start with this one. Based on your charity stream there, Sarah, Final Fantasy VII. If you're making the Muppets Final Fantasy VII, which for the record, they should absolutely do.
Yeah, 1,000%.
All right, what do we get? Cloud as Kermit? Is that too basic?
That seems right. Let's move him if we have to.
Yeah.
Well,
no. I mean, he's just so sweet-natured. Is there someone more angsty?
Yeah, Cloud's not really, Kermit's kind of the leader, right? Kind of. But Barrett's way too, gruff for Cloud. This is hard.
It is hard. Well, who's Piggy?
Would that be...
Is Piggy... Go ahead.
I'm tempted to go Aerith, right? But just for, the classic princess.
I'm thinking Jessie.
Jessie, right. There's Wedge if you want to, I don't mean to be a monster, but
I was
proportionally.
Thinking Tifa.
I think Tifa, there's something to kick ass Miss Piggy when she's like, hi-ya! That is exactly Tifa's cup of tea.
Take charge, for sure.
Yeah, that's
I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
And then Ralph is Red 13. Is that how that works?
Is that obvious?
Yeah, I guess
so. Sure.
All right, Kyle, Legend of Zelda.
Okay. Well, you're going to get specific for me, though, right?
No, just take it. Just run with that ball, dude.
Any. Your Zelda of choice.
That's not... Yeah, okay. They're different people, man.
Okay, this is going to be Breath of the Wild Muppets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Link doesn't talk. What do you think I'm doing here?
So you want me to do the whole cast, right?
Sure.
Link is like the human person, right? The sort of,
Oh yeah. Okay.
Or the human, Jason's friend from the recent Muppets movie.
Oh yeah.
Who was really good.
Right.
Jason's friend.
Yeah,
come
actor
on,
Jason
Jason's friend.
Siegel's Muppet friend. I don't remember the character's name.
Oh, okay.
The worst puppet name of all time, Jason's friend.
Jason's friend.
I think I honestly miss Piggy. I think as Zelda in Breath of the Wild, because her in that instance in Breath of the Wild, she does get frustrated and annoyed with the people around her. And
Okay.
I think, Miss Piggy can get frustrated and annoyed with the people around her.
It is her right and her privilege.
And then Rolf is the bird with the accordion, whose name I can't remember, because he gives you like words of wisdom occasionally and he plays music.
Yeah, but he kind of already looks like Gonzo, though. Don't you think you should just take that? It's close enough.
Doing spirit first. We're doing spirit casting.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Gonzo's Beetle, the Beetle character who's like the selling you weird stuff that you just see everywhere you go, who just happens to show up everywhere.
Genuinely, like for the franchise that Muppets could tackle next for making their version of, I really think Muppets Legend of Zelda could be top tier. Like unexpected, people would get buzzing about it. Where if they do, I don't know, what's a more boring one? Muppets Peter Pan or something. I'm sure they've already done that. Like barely people would give a crap. But something like this.
Yeah. When you just said that, it made me think of Gonzo as like the dwarven seller in God of War, which makes me want to see a Muppets God of War.
Yes, perfect. Please
really
make that happen.
That would be great.
Flaming Queso writes in and says, Sarah, I would love to know how you got into voice acting and if it was something that took a lot of practice. Did you have to record yourself, listen back and try and improve? Did you get a coach? And what is your biggest advice for someone that is trying to get into voice acting? Okay, let's start your origins here first.
Oh, this is I'm trying to make, over the years, one day I'll have like a really short, nice, tidy packaged answer for this because my tendency is just to be like, I was born and then, So, okay, getting into voice acting. Well, we already said I like discovered, I first pictured game voice actors as a living from KOTOR. I was like picturing Jennifer Hale going in and being Bastille and I was like, that seems like a great job. So that was revelation one. Earlier than that was revelation of like what you can do with your voice, which would be Mark Hamill in Full Throttle. I was like, I love Luke Skywalker, who is this like silky villain dude. That's very different. That seems great. So those were two major game epiphanies. Playing with my voice, doing radios, dramas in college. I then went to, when I moved to New York after school, I messed around with a bunch of different things and kind of like discovered that I loved games very much. And that was like a place I could see myself. And also just that the practice of auditioning as a lifestyle, like as a living, as the thing that you do 90% of the time was most tolerable to me in voiceover compared with like theater and other things, even though when you get into a production of theater, it's fun and great.
Yeah.
And then I did get a coach. I found a consultant who became my manager. She eventually got me auditions. I worked with a commercial coach for a very long time. She got me my first representation in New York with Innovative. I started doing indies from my home studio in New York. I started going to games conferences and getting on Twitter and going to meeting games folks as kind of like a whole separate games like process than just the normal voiceover stuff. And then eventually I got a meeting with SPV here in Los Angeles. They were my dream agency because of all my favorite games people here. And then and they took me on. So I moved out here and that's been that.
Do you think Gone Home was what was the biggest accelerant in your career? Was that number one?
That's probably. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it's certainly like a game that still means something to people and meant something to other people when I would say that I was in it then. So yeah, I would say so probably. Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Yeah, I did. Go ahead.
Oh, did somebody compliment your voice early on? Do you think you didn't have a moment of just like, you're talking in class and the substitute teacher was like, oh, no, Sarah, my God, what a voice on you.
No, and no. Have you been listening to me this entire podcast?
It's good. It's good voice.
No one's ever been like, you have an amazing voice. I mean, maybe once or twice, like if I put it on. I have like a car voice that sometimes is, whatever, buy a Ford, like that's that kind of thing. So that if that comes out, people will comment on that. But no, no one ever like said you should do this. I was like, I went to do this.
What did the coach teach you? What notes are shareable in any way for other folks out there?
Sure. Commercial copy is a bear. It's really challenging. It's really interesting. Naturalizing product copy and making it sound like you're just telling your friend what's good is a technical skill. So practice that. Practice picking someone specific. As with all voiceover, pick someone specific that you're talking to. It's very easy to hear when someone's speaking sort of generally in the abstract to someone versus like me saying, hey, dude, like you should get this thing. I think you'll really enjoy it. So practice picking someone specific in your life to address. That's a big one.
Yeah.
What else?
That's really good.
Yeah.
No, that's a great tip for sure. And then the last part of Flaming Queso question was, biggest advice for someone who's interested in this type of thing.
Oh my God. Yes, do get some kind of setup. And I think the big thing would be, two things I'll say. Get comfortable with a microphone. Just get even other actors who come from other disciplines, though sometimes they'll get into a booth and they find it very claustrophobic all of a sudden. And what you want to do is spend enough time in there and play time in there to feel it's like, ooh, this is my freedom zone. Like, this is my happy spot where I get to do all the things, where it suddenly feels like the universe is your oyster instead of like, I'm in a tiny box. Because you can hear that in your voice. So get comfortable with the microphone, get comfortable playing with your dynamics and just like enjoy the microphone as your friend. That's just time and practice. And then the other thing I like to recommend to people is parroting stuff. Like I'll play video games. I sound really funny in my own house because I will just parrot back to the television, either movies or TV or games, like what they say. And just doing that so you get used to hearing what an effort sounds like. For example, if someone takes a hit, I'll be like, just whatever it is, so that you get used to sounding silly. You don't even think about it. That's the job, is to sound really dumb and look dumb and not care. So get used to making those sounds, figuring out where their sounds come from, what kind of intensity matches the situation that you're seeing on screen. That's just a really low-hanging fruit way to get good with that.
That's fascinating. So even like outside of what you should call them efforts, was that the word? Yeah,
efforts or exertions or emotes. There's a lot of different words for them, but that's all the sounds that you're like, all right, now we're going to do a sound set of you sprinting. Now you're going to fall from a height of 10 feet, no damage, just hit the, whatever. Now you're going to blah, blah, blah.
Right,
all those
right.
are efforts.
That's wild. Jeff, do you feel like you're friends with your microphone? Are you at that level yet, sir? Okay.
No.
There's a long way to go.
Still, I think frenemies is the level.
Enemies to lovers, yeah.
Hey, Mackenzie Bayer writes in and says, hello, love the show. Thank you, Mackenzie. She says, I'm a new patron and I'm happy to be supporting you. Thank you. I've been pretty stressed lately, what with college and working 2 jobs. I barely have time to play anymore. So I figured maybe I'd try to squeeze some gaming time in on my lunch break, which is like 30 minutes. What games would you recommend? I'm looking for something simple and quick to pick up and put down. Tricky.
Is it?
I'd assume she has a Switch. Right?
All my answers are actually mobile.
Ooh, yeah. What do you got?
I mean, these are short games that have tiny rounds if you want, but I regularly spend 30 minutes on a pop on like drop 7 or 3s. Like I'll just get lost in that stuff for a long time.
Yeah.
So that is as long or short a session as you need. And they're both great.
Yeah, that's true. Listening to a podcast and playing 3s, it's really tough to beat that. And I love that 3s is still such a pure experience where for years I've been obsessed with Bejeweled Blitz on my phone. And now it's just like this gross version where the ads are constantly popping in. You can tell it's built for several iPhones ago, so the aspect ratio is all warped. It's just like this broken experience, but 3s is still just bliss.
Smooth butter. Yeah, 3s is great.
I mean, if you like puzzle games like Picross, there's 1,000 Picrosses available. You can get through a puzzle or 2 pretty quickly, but it is like an acquired taste for sure. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily something you'd want to try a few puzzles and see if you like it,
Yeah. Or, not just because I'm8bit was supporting them in a big way and you can buy the physical edition, but like something like Grindstone, especially if you have a Switch, playing Grindstone on a Switch, like that'd be a cool way to go. You don't have to subscribe to Apple Arcade for it. Yeah.
I was going to say Hades is kind of about that 30-minute.
Sorry. Muting.
It's fine.
Muting.
I think, I guess some of those runs can get a little bit longer in Hades, but I guess since it's single player, you can just pause it though, and come back to it later. But that's a good one, yeah.
Or like Animal Crossing, if you want to continue making progress each day, that's like a half-hour check-in.
You're right. Yeah, that's the correct answer. Beefcake says, hello, everybody. With the news of the Mass Effect remaster, fans of the series are very excited. I have no connection to these games when they were released. I had quit playing to focus more on my social life, and it wasn't worth it. Oh, I'm sorry, you're the Beefcake. What are your video game blind spots where, for some reason or another, you just didn't play these video games? Tough one. Big blind spots. What jumps out for you, Sarah?
I haven't played a Zelda.
Oh, that's why you weren't chiming in to help Kyle.
Nope, had nothing to add there. I've never played a Zelda. I don't know why.
That's interesting. I mean, do you have a Switch?
I do, actually. I played a lot of Animal Crossing.
You should jump into Breath of the Wild. Just give it a whirl.
I reckon I should.
Yeah.
I believe it. People say that to me and I believe them.
Okay. You're busy. I understand. That's a good blind spot though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big blind spot.
Yeah.
That is big. I mean, mine I feel like is pretty big too. It's like single player Blizzard stuff. Like, the Diablos, the original Warcrafts. Like, I haven't touched any of those things.
So just like the campaigns and Blizzard stuff?
Yeah, like I think I started a Diablo 2 game a couple years ago because I was like, I feel like I'm missing something here. But like, yeah, it makes me like a weird non-Blizzard fan. I never got into World of Warcraft. Like, it's like it's a big one for me, which is like they're huge.
Yeah.
I did EverQuest and then I could never join any MMOs. Were off the table for a while.
You've seen the dark side.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah. I think biggest for me is Castlevania. Where I've dabbled with like Castlevania 1. I'm sure on like an emulator at some point. I started Symphony of the Night, but it was like Ronnie and I drinking beer. We made it like half an hour in. We're like, this is hard. Moving on. Also, I just think vampires are lame. And so I'm not attracted to the lore of Castlevania. I'm not into it.
You don't like the sort of gothic architecture?
Not into it. Not into it.
Because it's not a vampire lore thing. It's not about vampires. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like Dracula's the end boss, but you're not getting into the lore of how vampires work. It's all about interacting with various monsters in a gothic setting.
I like some of those Universal monsters. If I could just carve up the cast and remove any vampires completely, then I might be more on board. Yeah.
Like a really timelessly relevant metaphor for sexually transmitted infections.
Something about that just isn't fun. I don't know. Maybe I'm uptight.
Missing out.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's fun.
I all of horror is my blind spot also.
Ooh.
Like I would love to love horror. I think there is so much, and actually being in horror, I mean, you asked what additional voices was. I was an infected in Last of Us 2 and it was so much fun. So much fun. And so psychologically rich, actually, even for just a little creature voice. Which I can get into if you want. They had a lot of things to say and they wanted to get in there. But yeah, so much rich, wonderful storytelling in horror games, and I just am too squeamo. I'm a little too squeamish.
I get it.
Or you mentioned Phasmophobia. I was like, that sounds fun. I wish I could.
Don't do that one. Yeah, that was a nightmare for the one streamer I tried it. So is it okay? So you're brought in to do additional voices for Last of Us Part 2, and then is it like a big moment of like, and you're going to be infected? Is like, dang it, I was actually hoping to say words here.
No, that one I auditioned for, and I felt like that stage of infected was the one that I felt most comfortable in, so I wasn't really surprised when I went in. And it was like, I was a runner. So I was like, I'm just going to say this because I'm so impressed with them. Because so at that stage of infection, if you didn't know this already, stop me, that like they're still conscious. They're still sort of aware of what they're doing, and they're tortured by it. So there's aggression and there's the need to attack and all the other stuff that comes with the infection, but they also hate that they're doing this to other people. They're in a lot of pain. They're in a lot of personal agony. So they had all of those things in this thing where they wanted sounds of like remorse and desire to connect. I mean, like it was just for a creature voice, it was really dynamic and really fun. And on top of that, they had this whole heart rate system, which you may or may not have heard about, where which also applied to enemy types. So, which I think is it's an amazing thing to try and implement. I can't believe they did it. That is like what happens when you have resources and genius and time. But the way that makes everything, the efforts that we were talking about, so psychological. There's no just like baseline sprint. You're sprinting because you're afraid of something. You're worn out, and you're like every single stage that you're working on, every degree of how fast your heart rate is going is tied to an emotional reaction. It's fear, it's panic, it's aggression. So everything suddenly, I think playing that game and hearing the breath from everybody, we're doing work on you, and you're matching it that you may not even be consciously aware of, but I think is such a smart, amazing way to approach all efforts. And certainly it was a joy to do as an enemy type. So my character had, even as an enemy, it was just like, here's your heart rate. Here's this, here's that.
Oh, that's so wild.
It was great.
I'm sure this is your worst nightmare, and I'm sorry. But can you remind us what a runner would sound like? Don't blow your voice out.
I'm going to blow the mic out. My voice. I don't know how to even get it that low.
Just is there like a hint so you could refresh our memory of what it actually sounded like?
I can try.
Okay.
I don't even know how low to take this now. All right, let's try here. Something like that.
Yep, you brought us all back. I remember now.
That was that was intense.
Yeah, we didn't like you. We didn't like you at all in the game.
Yeah, no. I did a really joking. I added. They sent me a clip because I didn't even recognize myself in the game. I played the whole game, and I was like, "Did you cut me again?" It was like a cut from Uncharted 4, and I was so sad.
No.
Yeah, but no, they sent me an instance, which is so nice of them, which is not something that happens certainly for additional voices. They sent me a little like instance of me running around and Ellie beating the heck out of me. And I added captions for all of what I imagined that she was saying. Like, I wish we could be friends. Like, come talk to me. I'm sorry. Like, underneath all of her screams.
Perfect.
So, yeah. Anyway.
Ian T. Clark here. He says, Sarah, I loved your performance in Anthem. How close to a game... Okay, how close to a game's launch do they wrap up on the VO side? It seemed like the production of Anthem was pretty tight. Is that varying case by case? Do you have any insight into that?
It varies case by case, and especially with Anthem where they're pushing updates and things, like it's, we were recording after launch as well. So, I mean, I will say that performance capture, that's a lot more moving parts. And so you do tend to kind of lock that stuff. We did pickups, things changed and we would come back and reshoot some stuff, but that stuff tends to get locked a little bit earlier, I would say. You can drop in booth voiceover on the fly pretty easily. It really depends. I mean, most developers do push voiceover later because they want to maximize the booth time and use stuff that's going to be final. And so they kind of wait till a lot is locked. Till then, I would say, though, that when you do, this is now me talking to developers out there, when you do cast early and get a few sessions under there, you might find character discoveries that come from your performers. You might hear things in the voice that you want to tweak and pick up. And so pushing it to the end, you don't really have that kind of flexibility. So I think getting a little bit of a head start and then picking up more toward the latter end is a good way to go. Gotcha. That's my consultant hat. It's off now.
No, we appreciate it. You're welcome to remain completely silent if you'd like, but have they talked to you about Anthem next and bringing you back in for a bigger overhaul? Do you know that on the horizon you might be doing something?
Should I Glomar this? I'm gonna Glomar this.
Glomar? What is that?
You said you used it about your own blog.
I said it earlier.
Kyle knows. I can neither confirm nor deny anything at all ever.
All right, there we go.
In my life.
To Anthem next.
This American Life episode.
That's it, right?
Response.
Oh, sorry.
It's great. Yeah,
I missed it.
Yes. I think that's safe. I don't know. I have not been marketing primed for anything, so I'm just going to say that.
Okay, that's fair. James Smith writes in. He says, "Hey, podcast party people." Hi, James. We're partying here. What do you think about the Stadia news? And what does it mean for the developers that they acquired? Are they going down with the ship, or will they get sold off to some other publisher? So just to catch everybody back up here, starting in 2019, they announced Google Stadia, and we're making an internal development studio. We have Jade Raymond on. We're buying these other teams, bringing folks in. I mean, Shannon Studstill, who was the head of Sony Santa Monica, she went over to Google to help build up this team. She's a super talented studio head, has been around forever. And now they say, yeah, we're just going to kind of license and work with our tech with other people. Kind of like, I guess the modern LucasArts games. Like, we're not going to have a Lucas Games or LucasArts internal team. We're just going to contract out. So what does it mean for the developers that they acquired? That's a great question. Kyle, do you have thoughts on this?
I mean, it seems like they're just getting let go, which sucks. And that's a huge bummer. But yeah, this whole thing is weird. I mean, everyone kind of jumped on it as like, Stadia's dead, throwing up their hands like it's over, which I don't think that's true necessarily, right? I mean, Stadia is still going to be around. There were just a number of projects in development that I was really excited about. I really wanted to see what Shannon Studstill was working on.
Yeah.
To me, that was like the biggest heartbreak of this whole thing was like, well, you know what, let me rephrase that. Cause like, it sucks that everyone's losing their job. But like from just a perspective of like, I want to see what they were working on. Whatever project she was working on, that was the thing I was most bummed that we're not going to get to see, Or even like
Kim Swift, like, designer of Portal, like she was over there. Mm-hmm. It was like, it's strangely enough, there's a lot of like great female developers is who Google seemed to be prioritizing. And so now it sucks. Like, I guess they're all going to find new jobs, hopefully.
It almost feels like they just didn't. I mean, this is all just me making assumptions about things, but it just seems like I don't think they knew like how long it was going to take.
Right.
Because I mean, if you hire Shannon Studstill to make a game, like you're looking at like a minimum of 3 years, right? Like at the least.
Yeah.
And like, it feels. Maybe this isn't true at all, but it feels like they've been kind of like surprised by just how long it takes to gain traction and get things moving, and for Stadia to find an audience and like, have games ready for it. I mean, it's a bummer because like on the one hand, I think that there could be some good stuff with like the Stadia tech going to other people might lead to cool things, you know? And Stadia is still a good platform, but yeah, it's a bummer that whatever they were working on is just out the window now. And I don't think, I wish those studios would get sold. I know Embracer is very interested in buying up studios right now. They're just buying everybody.
They bought Gearbox.
I know, it's wild.
That's insane. Yes, what? I can't believe it. Yeah.
When did that happen?
Last night?
Yeah,
oh my God.
Night, I think.
I know. I saw the headline this morning, and I was losing my mind. I'm like, oh, how is nobody talking about this? And I guess it just happened last night, and I missed the big explosion.
Who is this?
Like midnight.
So they are the what's their
THQ
code?
Nordic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
The confusing THQ Nordic financial entity that apparently has an endless supply of money to buy every property known to man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't know they were also the THQ Nordic guys who have been buying up studios left and right too. So
are they like a Tencent competitor?
I mean, the Scandinavian Tencent they call them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What a
but
mess.
yeah, I mean, I that's what I would want. I would like other, publishers or, people like Embracer to buy whatever those studios were working on. But
Kevin Holmes.
Pessimistically, I don't think that's happening. I think people are just going to be let go, and they'll have to find jobs elsewhere, which I'm hopeful that they can,
Yeah, it's pretty assumed, but I've heard that things are pretty chaotic right now, like inside those teams about just like, what is going on?
Sure, they were blindsided too, right?
Who knows?
It's not like they got a heads up.
Yeah, so I wonder, so they're still going to keep up the work that they have with other teams, I'd imagine, right? Like Harmonix was making a Stadia game, Q Games was making a Stadia game. I would imagine since those aren't internal, they would still keep those rolling. I don't know.
As long as Stadia itself continues.
Yeah, so it's such a weird case.
That's kind of always the big question with Google whenever they launch some big initiative. Like, and anytime that they launch something, it's good for their company, and I'm sure it's good for investments and stuff. But then if they feel it's not paying off, like they have no qualms about just abandoning stuff. And
yeah.
And
also on top of this year they're going to make us start paying for Google Photo storage, which really chaps my ass. Not a fan. I've been using that so much, and now it's like, oh God, all right, I guess you'll have my subscription money to store all of my memories, Google. Thanks a lot.
It's just so weird. Like you're Google. The idea that you can't treat video games as a serious category and process to just sort of learn about these it just seems like astonishing to me that you wouldn't have a concept of what you're getting into. Like, what is it about games that everyone's like, it'll be easy, and you're like, hello, what?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw at Bloomberg, Jason Schreier had an article talking about the inside scoop on Amazon, and I'm sure there's a lot of connections and analogies you can make between Google and Amazon trying to get into games here. But from Amazon's point of view, it was just fascinating because the article, the head of Amazon Games, I forget his name now, but it very much seemed to be that case that he was, disconnected from the world of game development, didn't understand how it worked, and just was constantly pivoting of like, hey, we should make a Call of Duty competitor because they make a lot of money. And it's like, I'm sure the developers are like, yeah, man, we've been in the industry. Yeah. We've already climbed this hill and failed. Like, you cannot do it. Let's try and get smarter. And
I think it's awesome. And actually, the last time that I probably have spoken to Shire, or the last time I was on Split Screen, I guess, I was like, the headline was like Stadia, and then it was like also talking to Sarah and Anthem. That was like 2 seconds ago, you guys. What?
Come on.
Lord.
Jonathan Fenn writes in, he says, hey everybody, this past week saw the release of the fantastic Heaven's Vault on Switch, and I saw a lot of people on Twitter urging everyone to check out this underappreciated gem. With that in mind, if you had the power to force everyone in the world to play through the entirety of any game, which would it be? Could be a hidden gem or an obscure favorite from childhood, whatever you want. So everyone in the world had to play through this. I feel like you have to use it for good, You can't just be like, well, the new God of War is really good, so you should do it. Like, if you have the power to influence everyone in the world, you got to make them play everything or something, that game that Double Fine published, like something that'll kind of have an emotional impact on their mind or something, right?
I've been trying to get my brother to play everything for a while. He's like a huge Alan Watts fan. I was like, play the game, you dummy. Everything is great. My answer, I'm afraid, is pretty basic, probably.
Hang on, let me guess. Portal?
That's a good idea. It wasn't it, but
Tetris?
Great idea. No.
Mario?
Let's lean hard into my dumb voice actor. Dead or Alive? Yes.
Oh,
what I really want is for everyone to experience boob physics. That's what I would love the most, actually. No, I think I'm going to say, I'm stop making you guess. I think it would be Last of Us, and it's for a very specific reason. I think that game does something for understanding and utilizing and kind of unpacking gaze in a way that I think is really essential to us moving forward as a society.
G-A-Z-E, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
You have these two characters, you are empathizing and or identifying with them at different points in the story. The moment where you move from Ellie back to Joel, I think is a really profound and unsettling kind of spiritual experience where you feel more connected to Ellie's experience still, but you're playing as Joel, and Joel is being sweet, but not getting her trauma and not connecting with her anymore and not able to walk with her in that path. And so you feel this kind of residual experience of being Ellie, but you're playing Joel, and these characters, the way that they relate to each other and see each other. And certainly the ending is all about like how do these people see each other? I think that if we can all understand gaze in our media, if we can understand how it works in life, and how we see each other and the subjectivity of it and how to kind of like unpack it and understand it, I think that would be a boon.
Yeah.
So that's my reason.
Yeah.
And also, I just think
video games have that unique opportunity to put you in someone else's shoes,
right,
in a real way that other media doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my answer is more was thinking about like trying to elevate the medium of video games. Like, what would people who think video games are stupid, like a much less noble pursuit, certainly. But I was like, the game, because I think about it a lot. With
Stop justifying us. We are no. Let's leave the,
Because I always think about it in terms of like, what would I want my parents to play so they could understand that like video games are cool. And the ones that I always go to in my head are Portal 2, because the writing is just so amazing and the sort of mechanics of it are so incredible and mind shifting. Yeah. And then also like Playdead stuff, Limbo and Inside. It's just so like, just like, this is art, man.
Sure.
It's kind of my approach.
Yeah. What would that be like? Just, hey, 90-year-old grandma from Germany, now play through Inside. I mean, if you're forcing everybody to play Inside, that's a weird tone for the world to absorb.
It is, yeah.
It's kind of wild.
It's a horrifying game.
Yeah. I would say playing Gone Home with my dad was a big deal. I think that was his light bulb. Actually, that was pretty special.
That's awesome.
For that.
That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Top that, Jeff.
I was gonna say Journey.
Ooh, that's great.
But you have to play with someone on the opposite political spectrum as you too.
Oh, interesting.
Can I add that?
Yeah, that's perfect.
It probably wouldn't go well, but it wouldn't fix anything.
The game doesn't give you any affordances for talking to. It doesn't matter, does it?
Exactly.
So it'd just be like at the end, it would just pop up on the screen and it'd be like, you've played with Bernie Sanders 69 and GOP all day. Yeah. Okay.
Did any of you play Way?
Way? I don't think so.
Way is I don't know if it was technically a student game at the time, but it was Chris Bell who was a designer on Journey, and it was I think that's why they hired him. But it's very similar. If you haven't played Way, I don't even know if you can anymore, or who's playing it now that you get paired with somebody. Just really quick, but like it's a platformer and it's multiplayer. You have one other person and you get partial information in your own screen. So the other person you're relying on the other person to communicate to you. You're like, is there an invisible platform here? Jump now, blah, blah, blah. But you can't talk, but there is a movement set that's very, very fluid. It's not really just codified gestures. It's like pretty open-ended. So you have to kind of build a communication style on the fly to get each other to navigate through to the end of the stage. And then at the end, there's a global map, and you kind of, most people like draw or squiggle or write or just point where they are in the world. And
that's
cool. Pretty great.
Huh.
It's very good.
And that's like way as in wait or way as in way out?
The way out. No, not that game. The other, way.
W-A-Y?
Let's spell it.
W-A-Y. W-A-Y.
Okay.
The way to the end of the level is this way.
That's the best way to put it.
Sure.
Hey, speaking of the way to the end of the level, Kyle, have you checked out Pedestrian yet? That puzzle game?
No. Where is it?
I don't know.
What platform?
I played it on Steam. I believe it's on PlayStation 5. So this is the game where you play as like basically like
the character and the pedestrian signs and stuff, right?
Yeah. If you ever see a person on a sign, you play as that and you're jumping between different signs. But it's crazy because it's like these complex puzzles where you're rearranging things, connecting this door to this door, getting this key, blah, 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 blah. It gets surprisingly hard, surprisingly quick. But the wild part is like you're just playing on the 2D plane of these signs, but they're plastered over, like the starting area is just like this factory. And so just production wise, I'm fascinated by it because you're just going from one sign to the other by running to the right. But then as you transition, the camera's like flying around this factory to show you the next sign. So just the art assets are like, they are making all of these crazy environments only for the sake of putting a 2D sign in a tiny part of it that you're playing on. It's really crazy stuff.
I love that energy. I love that energy.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I think that's great. Wait, who's the developer for that? What is that?
That's a great question. I don't know, but it's called Pedestrian. Yeah. Jeff, I'm curious what you would think of it.
I've seen look awesome. Yeah, I need to check it out. It's in my queue.
Oh, good.
Great.
Ben Shively has just a layup, just an easy one. He says, with Mass Effect having its upcoming remastered trilogy, which other series would you want to have this impressive of a remaster treatment to? I personally don't understand why EA hasn't already done this for Dead Space. 100%. I think Dead Space is probably next in EA's queue if Mass Effect does well, right?
I'd hope so.
Yeah, what else do you think of?
It's very much a thing that I'm experiencing right now, but there's not a good way to play like past Silent Hills. Like Silent Hill 2, I've just gone through like hell to try to play it recently because I read Mike Drucker's book.
Oh yeah,
and they did that one remaster for 360 and PS3, but like it did stuff like remove the fog or like really make the fog way less dense, which is like, what are you doing?
What's Silent Hill without the fog? And this is someone who hasn't played horror games, but what's Silent Hill without the fog?
I mean, honestly, like you just look at a screenshot and you're like, this game would be a lot different if you could see through the PC. But yeah, so that's a big one for me, but it's also like very much on my mind.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about Silent Hill a lot, and it's like I had to like buy it off eBay for Xbox and hook up my 360 and like just like, going through Googling and stuff, it's like everyone is like, Konami, what are you doing? Like, just re-release this thing. It's
that seems like important.
It's like
it's
an
important
game.
Yeah.
And imagine
that's mine.
Yeah, I would think
we have such an archival problem in games. It's annoying.
Oh,
anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, speaking of which, Gearbox's Battleborn just went offline on Sunday, which is
I was having like Anthem terrors. I was just like, this will be someday, and it was because it was Aaron Lindy, assuming those tweets, and I breaking my heart.
Yeah, it's sad to see for sure. Sorry, anybody else? Jeff, do you have a remaster idea?
No, Kyle poisoned my mind earlier when he brought up Silent Hill, like in our chat group, and that was my pick too. That was like, oh man, I would if you bundled like those first 3 games or whatever before they got kind of went in different directions and stuff. Like I would play those again too, because the second one was one of those pivotal games for me when I was a teenager.
Yeah, how's that book from Mike Drucker, who is the comedy writer, and he was a guest on Crossfade, our music podcast, talking about Weird Al.
Talking about Weird Al? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was. So the Crossfade, our music podcast, we have a guest, and they choose an album for the host to review and vice versa. And it just so happened. Which one did you pick? Weird Hair Day? Bad Hair Day? Is that what it is?
I have an autographed copy of Bad Hair Day.
That's awesome.
Amish Paradise.
Yeah. But it was great because it just so happened by random chance that episode was Weird Al versus Steely Dan, which is a great discussion for music. Just covering that range is perfect.
That's as I was raised on. I just had a extended Twitter convo with Kellen Goff, is that how you say his last name?
I don't
know. Who does, by the way, speaking of creature voices in Last of Us, is like a boomer or something. I've been playing Left 4 Dead. It's not a boomer, whatever it is. One of the bigger guys. Who's extraordinary. But yeah, we were both raised on Dan by our dads, and so we're like, and I was like very close to setting up my rock band just to play Bodhisattva.
That'd be good
because it's so good. Anyway, I wish I'd been there.
It would have been great. But yeah, Kyle, how's Mike Drucker's book about Silent Hill? Is it funny?
Sorry, I'm such a tangent monster.
That's fine.
It's a weird thing. There are he punctuates the chapters with like a punchline often, right? So there are these moments, and like the ending is just the final word is very funny. Like he's a funny guy. He writes in a funny way, but the majority of the book is not. It's like a master's degree thesis on what Silent Hill is about, which I really loved because like I love Silent Hill 2, but it's one of those games that kind of lives in my memory as like, I don't really know what I experienced over the course of that game, but it really made me feel uncomfortable in a way that very few video games have been able to repeat. Yeah. So to have him like break down like exactly what was like potentially going on, there's still a lot of room for, figuring things out in that game, but to have him sort of really dig into it, like I really appreciated and really loved, and it made me want to go back and replay the game, even though it's been difficult.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Boss Fight books, is that series?
Boss Fight books. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 by Mike Drucker. I'd recommend it.
Nice.
I think it was like $5 on Kindle. It's great.
Oh, sweet. Evan One Sonic has a killer question. He says, "Hello, everybody. Simple question: is doing a backflip the coolest thing that someone can ever do?" P.S. It is. He says, "It's pretty sweet." Can anybody?
Adam Sandler's stand-up on Netflix has a whole extended bit about this.
On backflips?
How it's the coolest thing?
How he like wasted his life because he didn't learn how to do a backflip.
I really think about it. Like, I remember my neighbor on the trampoline could do a backflip before anybody. I never was able to do any sort of flip on a trampoline, but automatically, it's like if you go over and do a backflip on a trampoline alone, you're champion of the neighborhood. That's like the coolest guy move you can do, or girl move. Backflips, hey, they don't see gender.
The fact that this is such a specific like question / answered itself just opinion makes me want to answer with an equally random, abstract, insistent, personal thing, which is like, and as someone who hasn't been able to dance in over a year, but I would in normal times I tango.
Ooh.
And so to me, my brain always goes to like, well, there's like individual virtuosity, but like to me, the real magic and like of being on this planet is like, how do you synchronize that with somebody else? So I would say tango is cooler than backflips, but that's just me in my opinion.
Okay, so is there a certain move or just the general concept of tango that alone is cooler, you think?
I mean, yeah, just doing it well. Like tango, what's cool about tango is it's more than moves. Like when you watch tango, you're seeing maybe 10 to 20% depending of an iceberg, and everything else is the communication that's happening between these two people to synchronize. So it's not like you can lead and follow the degree and the quality and the size of every single step that you take. There's no patterns. I mean, there's sort of like repeating patterns that are common, but like there's no rule about what step follows what step. So everything that you do is absolutely synchronized and non-spoken and communicated basically through your chest and through other sort of aspects of touch and whatever, and expression and musicality. So there's just universes on universes in every single thing that you do if you're really present and you're really together. So
I think that's a great answer. I mean, we have a show called Better Quest where every month we set like a new personal goal, and my goal last month, 2 months ago, I forget when it was exactly, but was to take a starting class in Balboa dancing, which is like a type of swing. Cool. And as the most physically awkward person I think on earth, it was like that was the epiphany, is just realizing like, oh, there's a system to this. There's like a science to it so that you can sync up with anybody around the world if you both know these moves. And just subtle little hints will tell the person what to do. It's cool that there's just a secret pattern out there that I didn't even know existed.
I've danced with, I was in Argentina for a month before, in like December of not last year, but the year before, right before lockdown. And I cannot imagine hugging strangers around the world this close. Like it's what a strange juxtaposition. But I don't speak Spanish. I should, given how much I love tango. It'd be the respectful thing to do, the logical thing to do. But the degrees of the kinds of relationships that I have with people that are narrow but very deep without speaking the same spoken language is are treasured to me. So tango's dope.
So take that, Evan One Sonic, backflips, please. Who needs them?
Well, what about a coordinated like duo backflip? Two people doing a backflip at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
sure. Yeah. If you could find a way to bring tango into backflips, I'm there.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that's the Lindy Hop, particularly. Tactical Dreamer writes in. He says, "Hello, cohorts. Did any of you check out the Balan Wonderworld demo?" He says it's kind of bad. It was the first time in a long while that I've played a game where controlling the character immediately felt terrible. I'm glad we got a demo though. Kyle, this is from Yuji Naka, the Sonic creator. People are excited about it. It looks like a wacky 3D platformer coming out this year. I forget exactly when. I think soon.
Like March.
It's called.
It's on my calendar. I've pre-ordered it. I'm buying it.
You're sold.
Balan Wonderworld. Balan Wonderworld.
It's a word we all use and know. We're all familiar with.
Don't pretend.
No.
They don't know how to spell Balan.
I played it with the kid, and like honestly, like I don't know, man. I was into it because it's so weird. It is so strange. It is like it reminds me of the first time I played Nights into Dreams, and just being like, oh my god, this is someone sort of materialized a dream and printed it onto a disc, and this feels like an extension of that. Like
What's a diff?
There's so many weird, questionable decisions in that game of like when you the world actually kind of like, I can't explain it. You just have to look at it, but it basically is like a globe, and like, but when you as you walk along it, it feels like a flat platform, but like in the distance you can kind of see it like curling into the horizon. Okay. It's so weird. It's like not. It's distracting and strange, and it feels very dreamlike. And then
it sounds like old Animal Crossing.
Like kids like walking into some creepy dreamlike world. I was getting Silent Hill vibes from it, probably because I was just playing Silent Hill. But it's like this weird like magician is like saying, "Kids, come here. You're having a bad day. Come to Balan Wonderworld." And they like enter through this mirror. It's so strange. It's so strange. I will genuinely, definitely play it when it comes out because I'm just kind of enamored with how bizarre it is.
Was your daughter into it?
Yeah. We were both like, just like our whole conversation was like, this is weird, right? This is a really weird game. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're both on the same page here.
Balan fans number 1 and 2, ready to go.
Yeah, that's right.
Be careful playing it on your own because you won't have any sanity check. Like you're just like,
that's right, yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
it's like the seizure warning at the front of a game. It's like, make sure someone's with you while you're playing.
To anchor you in reality. It's very important.
Yes.
Have a buddy system.
Danny Yorkis writes in and says, "Hey friends, I have 2 questions. Maybe pick the one you think is more interesting." Oh, okay. He asks, has anybody ever walked out of a movie? And if so, what was it? For me, it was The Woman in Black with Daniel Radcliffe. I don't know. I don't remember that one. I don't think I saw that. I walked out before I went to it. Sarah, does your mind jump someplace? Have you ever walked out of a movie?
I can only think, it's funny because I can only think of theater that I walked out in on protest, which is so rude to other theater actors. Like you really have to push me pretty hard to walk out. But I did walk out of Master and Commander, I went back in, but I walked out to faint on the floor of the movie theater lobby and then get up and refresh myself and then go back in. So I'm going to count that.
What are you talking about? It was so intense.
Yeah, when they do the Russell Crowe movie, when they do the brain surgery, the like impromptu brain surgery on the boat, and I was just like, and I like got out of the thing. I fell down on the floor. No one said or did anything in the lobby. I went to the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face, and then I went back inside.
Oh my God, I've never seen that movie. I didn't imagine there'd be a brain surgery scene.
There's a brain surgery. It's raw, dude. It is a raw movie. It's real. It's one of the best. I mean, sailors are always like, this is the most authentic sailing movie.
Yeah, it was in the news, in the meme news recently. What was it? Like Russell Crowe was like blasting some kid on Twitter because he didn't like it. Kyle, do you see this?
Didn't like Master and Commander?
There was something. Hang on, let's get to the bottom.
Like a Russell Crowe move. I don't know him particularly well.
Right.
But.
Master and Commander Russell Crowe tweet.
That's funny.
There's some kid like saying that it sucked or something, and he would not stand. Okay, here we go.
That's great.
Variety wrote a huge article.
Variety.
He said. Lots of folks complaining about lack of sleep during the pandemic. May I recommend Master and Commander, starring the usually captivating, attention-grabbing Russell Crowe, a Twitter user wrote, alongside a photo of Crowe in the film. I've never made it past the 10-minute mark. You're welcome. And thanks, Russell.
He tagged him in it. That's a big move.
And then Russell Crowe says, that's the problem with kids these days. No focus. Peter Weir's film is brilliant, an exacting, detail-oriented, epic tale of fidelity to empire and service, regardless of the cost. Incredible cinematography by Russell Boyd, a majestic soundtrack. Definitely an adult's movie. I think everyone then was having a field day with him saying...
Empire is the big pitch on that one for me. But sure.
Yeah, I fell asleep halfway through his tweet.
Yeah, come on, Russell.
Right. Yeah.
That's the problem with kids these days.
Clown on a kid.
Do you think there's any universe we could hang out with Russell Crowe and it would go well?
That sounds like a charged atmosphere where anything could happen.
Yeah.
We could be like Gladiators. Cool, man. Good job.
LA Confidential, baby. That's my Russell Crowe pick.
Okay. Yeah.
He's so touching in that movie.
He was a great Jekyll and Hyde in the Mummy film, his finest role. Danny Yorkis, movies you walked out of. I've only walked out of one movie. Normally I'll stick with it no matter what, but I walked out of Adam Sandler's animated film 8 Crazy Nights, which truly, truly sucked. No one has ever talked about this movie since it came out. The fact that Adam Sandler, one of the most prolific filmmakers of our era, made this animated movie, I need to go back and rewatch it or try, because I just remember being a kid and watching it and saying, this is the least funny thing I could possibly imagine. So I remember walking out and going in and watching the second half of Die Another Day, which I'd already seen in theaters. We're like, yeah, I'll just watch this Bond movie again. It's better than frickin' 8 Crazy Nights. So
amazing how good GoldenEye is, and then those other two are so soulless and perfunctory. Like, I don't know.
I hate that.
And he's a great Bond. It's I don't know. Anyway.
This is a big pile of shame. This is like, my Castlevania up there with it, but I have only seen Die Another Day twice for the entire Pierce Brosnan run of Bond. I've never seen any other Bond movie from the Brosnan run. Or
you like Casino Royale, right?
I really like Casino Royale. Yeah. So I've seen
Campbell, man.
Yeah,
right?
same director. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. I know. It's
you
one of
gotta
those.
see GoldenEye.
I know, and I love the game so much.
Else for the video game history. Yeah,
I know.
come
It's
on.
insane. Which, by the way,
it's got Robbie Coltrane. It's got Minnie Driver as a bad Russian mistress. It's got so full of good stuff.
All right.
Someone shouts, "I'm invincible." It's good stuff.
Yeah, Alan Cumming is a Russian hacker.
Did you guys?
Duncan Jensen is a mood and a half. Talk about kink revisiting.
Yeah, no kidding. Did you did you see that weird headline about how there is an XBLA old remake of GoldenEye that is now out in the wild? That it never saw the light of day, but first videos were popping up on YouTube, and now apparently the build is just out there. I don't know who made it, if it was like 4J or some other development studio, but it's like a full remake of GoldenEye for 360 that never came out, which is awesome.
Yeah, that video is hard to watch, man. Like, honestly, I was like, I wish this existed.
I know. Hey, Holden Hints here. He says, welcome to Holden Hints with Holden Hints. We will be reading what parents determine is the spoiler-free takeaway from a few of IMDb's top 250 films of all time. If you can't,
what is happening?
Okay, so it's Holden Hints. Come on, Sarah.
Let's go.
If you can't get it from the message alone, just ask for some of Holden's hints, and I will tell you the listed discussion topics. These are all pulled from kidsinmind.com. So these are the messages as parents determined it of these movies, according to kidsinmind.com.
Okay, and then I'll get it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so the message of this film from the top 250 films of all time is de-extinction and cloning can be dangerous activities.
So we guessed the movie?
Yeah. Come on.
It's Jurassic Park.
It's Jurassic Park. Correct. Discussion topics.
Pokemon, the first movie.
Discussion topics include courage, obsession, regulation of scientific research. Ooh,
Okay.
That's a hot film. Okay, the message for this film is world nations need to conserve resources and prevent war. But if war arises, women are capable of fighting as powerfully as male soldiers. Oh boy.
Avengers Endgame?
Discussion topics.
I can see why you would think that, though.
Yeah. Discussion topics include, according to parents, these uptight parents, huffing, murderous gangs, tyrants, PTSD, justice, mental illness, destruction of society, and, very key here, water shortages.
Is it Fury Road?
Fury Road! Kyle Hilliard! Way to go.
I knew
Killing
huffing
it.
was the key in, and I couldn't think of. I knew it.
That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Witness me. Come on.
Yeah. I do. I witness you.
Okay. Message of this film. This could be so many movies. Some things are better left alone.
Oh, come on now.
Come on. Does anybody have a guess?
That's like a parent who's never seen a movie being like, doing a recap. Some things are better left alone. Indiana Jones. I don't know.
Leave the Nazis alone.
Leave that relic where it is.
Okay. Discussion topics include predators. Okay. Parasites. Corporate power. Winky wink. Following orders. Regulations. Quarantine.
Alien?
Kyle got it. Oh, Sarah, were you coming in with Alien too?
I was coming in with
Okay. I will trust that
But
you're
I
coming in
was
with Alien. Okay, here we go. Last one. The message is very specific. Parents must know that eventually they must let their children go. A parent's love can help them do extraordinary things. Our shortcomings can sometimes become our strengths. Holy God. Topics include parental love.
Never heard of it.
Avengers Endgame.
Friendship, guilt, exploration, 12-step program.
Is it Up?
Close, so close.
Pixar's Up? Okay.
Short-term memory loss.
Oh, Finding Nemo.
Finding Nemo. Way to go, Kyle. Killing it.
How does the 12-step program?
I don't know.
What?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I thought Up was grief is kind of what I was going for. You know?
Yeah.
But
What is 12? Is there some character that's addicted to something in Finding Nemo?
the sharks.
Are they?
They're addicted to eating fish.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
And they
I've
do
never
have their
seen
program.
Finding Nemo.
Sarah, that was
It's a weird
Hale.
thing to call out. But
Do you know Jennifer Hale voice matches Ellen DeGeneres?
no.
So if you go on the
really?
Finding, I went to Disneyland with my brother because we went to do Galaxy's Edge. Again, things we did just before the pandemic shut everything down. But yeah, if you go on the little submarine ride, it's Jen. I was like, oh, Jen.
Oh, that's funny.
Do you voice match anybody?
I'm gonna say this now because someone else said that they're part of it in the same movie and they didn't get sued into oblivion. So I'm just gonna. I did some voice matching for and it's uncredited, so then they can have the credit. I'm just gonna say it, but I did some voice matching for Michelle Williams in Venom.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
And actually, the one line that is she Venom is actually me. So yeah.
Really? Okay, so I heard Troy Baker on a podcast talking about this, and I never really understood this, but how big of a part that is in the voice acting industry. I think this was my Get a Load of This from a while ago, of like voice actors being called in to do a lot of the efforts lines and stuff like that, but then also like lines that are in the trailer and key stuff like that, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of ADR. I do, and then especially for TV promo, which is like such fast turnaround, and they just want like a quick pickup, and they'll usually just take the audition. They're like, yeah. In that case, I went in, and I think they were mostly. I think in the final movie, they mostly had her come in and do it, but they were like testing out some script changes, tiny line changes, and things. I think they were mostly using it for that. But the one thing that did stay in there was the creature voice, was the one line.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I think there are plenty of times where it's like just not that noticeable and it is fully someone else. You know, I know Nolan North does a lot of voice matching. Kif Vanden Heuvel does a ton of voice matching.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild. Okay, Sarah, moment of truth. Question of the week. What do you like?
What do I like?
Yeah, what was your favorite?
Oh, right. I was just going to think it was like chocolate. No, okay. Well, it's funny because like I loved the Muppets question, even though I don't feel like we filled it we didn't answer it very
we didn't
well.
do it justice. You're right.
We didn't do it justice, but it's a great question.
It is
like
good.
I want to hear it's more of the question that I want to hear other better answers for than what I was able to give.
Yeah, the
But,
comments can help it out.
I love Muppets. I feel like Muppets are like a joke on video games because it's just like, you know, we focus on like RTX or whatever, and then it's like, I put my hand in a sock and now you believe it's a person. You just do. And I love them. I love puppets and I love Muppets and I think they're the best thing. So
you want to give it to Muppets here?
Yeah, I think I do.
There we go. Charles
a lot
Davis.
Of great questions.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
I just want to hype Muppets. So
I get it. So Charles Davis, we will ship out that Battletoads vinyl. Actually, I'm 8-Bit will. So thank you so much, I'm 8-Bit. And now it's time for something we call Get a Load of This. This is, Sarah, a little tidbit that caught our eye. Jeff, show us how it's done. You go first, dude.
Well, this is a bad example, but
perfect.
Hey, get a load of this. This one doesn't actually have any kind of links to go with it, and I'm gonna try to dance around a spoiler for it.
Oh no!
But I finished the second season of The Mandalorian. Recently, and you know, there's a cameo kind of that comes up at the end that they did a 3D version of.
Yes.
And the get a load of this for it though is if you search for Mandalorian deep fake. People have been trying to outdo what Disney did, and they have just done an incredible job of doing it. It's still insane to me that, you know, the biggest visual effects guys working at Disney are getting outdone by like a random YouTube person who just knows how to use computers well. So if you've seen it, or if you don't care about the spoilers, then you should go YouTube some of those because it's insane.
Yeah, for sure. It's wild.
Like, what is it about their production schedule that doesn't give them the weeks that it takes to train the deepfake? Like that's the only way that explains to me.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah,
the
'cause it
deepfake
just
has
takes
to
more
train.
time.
It takes
Oh,
a
interesting.
lot of time.
Or maybe like
So
the
that's
deepfake wouldn't hold up on a big screen. Maybe there's something there, but not like
Right? Yeah,
Mandalorian's gonna.
I've heard that too, actually.
I don't know. Maybe something there. But hey, get a load of this. Friend of the show, Blake Hester, former guest on the show, I believe. But he wrote a gigantic oral history of Guitar Hero 1 for Vice.
Aww.
Even though he works for Game Informer now, this was in the works for a long time. So on the anniversary, the 15th anniversary of Guitar Hero 1, he published this, and it's fantastic, filled with a lot of great details, like the fact that apparently Harmonix back in the day. Frequency is one of my favorite games of all time. That also one of my favorite Harmonix games. And they apparently met Harmonix and Red Octane because they were discussing the idea of making a PS2 peripheral just for Frequency, that old music game, which I'm so curious to see what they thought that would look like. Also, just weird factoids like apparently Harmonix turned down making a new DuckTales game so that they could make the first Guitar Hero, which is wild. And also the fact that the newspapers in Guitar Hero, like your results screen and stuff like that entire newspaper presentation, apparently, Kyle, that came from The Incredibles. They were trying to think of a cheap way to convey all that information, then saw The Incredibles and the scene where Mr. Incredible's like looking at the wall with all the newspapers and like, let's just do that in Guitar Hero, and
nice.
Lines up. So
What
please.
a classy game.
Yeah.
Those games are so bursting with style in places it doesn't even need. I love them so much.
Yes, they're so good.
Oh. Where can I find that? I want to say, if my friend Matt Bach, who designed the guitar controller, hasn't seen it, I want to make sure he sees it.
Vice. Yeah.
Vice.
Matt Bach, talented guy. God, I'm trying to remember. He had a big part in a game that I really liked from the last year. What the hell was that?
Really? Oh, yeah, Ape Out, probably.
Ape Out, yes. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
But Sarah, do you have get a load of this for us?
I do, and I'm so glad I'm not going last because it's a bummer. But it's a big load of this. Anyway, that sounds awful. Get a load of this. That because Woodrow Wilson caught the Spanish flu, if you don't know this, if anybody, because Woodrow Wilson caught the Spanish flu in the middle of negotiating the Treaty of Versailles at the end of World War I with like this really bullheaded French diplomat, Clemenceau, who was like big on like not giving the Germans an easy time of it. Because Woodrow Wilson got sick and like kind of lost his edge and like boinked the negotiations. Like that is why the Treaty of Versailles was so hard on the Germans. And, you know, as we know, they suffered a depression and a backlash and a thing that led to World War II. But yeah, thanks the flu.
So the lesson is...
so he was so sick and out of it that he basically kind of... Oh, that is interesting.
He went from being a bulldog, being like, we have to have peace and equity. We can't just punish them. We have to build a new world order that is, you know, gives whatever, takes care of everyone. And then Clemenceau was like, screw these guys. And then like when Woodrow Wilson couldn't kind of like hold the line, there's like letters from his aides that are like, you gave up on all the things we held dear. And he's like, I'm delirious. I can't see straight.
Oh my God.
He's like really sick. And that's why. Yeah, so slightly different world we would have if Woodrow Wilson hadn't caught the flu.
Just call in sick, man.
Right.
Come on, Woodrow.
Who's your second, idiot? You're a world leader, dum-dum. Yeah.
Jeff was always really good at yelling at people who were sick at work, so to go home, I always appreciated that about you, Jeff.
Yeah, look at this. Now, global pandemic, you were right all along, dude. We should have all gone home.
That's right.
Stop giving our flus and colds to each other at work.
Being the expert of gone home, I thought that was Sarah's job.
Hey.
That's not important. We'll insert laughter later. Kyle, did you have one for us?
Yeah, mine's very similar. To Sarah's. No, I'm just kidding. This is just,
please be something happy. Oh my God.
No, it's actually a product that I didn't know existed. I've been playing a lot of VR lately. I wear glasses. Refuse to explore the world of contacts, so I just shoved my glasses inside. And I was commiserating with my wife. I was like, you know, there's lenses inside that thing. I wish I could just buy my prescription to stick in there. And she Googled it and found a company in 2 seconds that absolutely does that. VR Labs. And they're not that expensive. It's like $40 to get a pair of lenses that go into like your Quest or your Rift or whatever.
Weird.
Based on your prescription.
That's
so
genius.
like I am so excited. I'm going to put my glasses inside my Oculus Quest and not have to shove my glasses in the headset anymore. It's awesome. I just didn't even know it existed, and I was so happy that she found that website.
That's a cool idea. There's links
that's
below.
cool, and it's still weird to me that, you know, like being nearsighted is an issue in VR. Like I still don't understand how that works, kind of.
Yeah, I'm nearsighted. I double checked recently. I was like, am I sure that I need to wear glasses? And I was like, oh, yep, 100%. I need to wear glasses. It looks way worse without my glasses. It's weird.
That's bizarre. Jeff, did you pull one from the community in the Discord?
Yeah, get a load of this. This comes from the Smack, aka the Legless Eagle. I don't know when he added that one, but it's a rock paper shotgun article from Nate Crawley, and he made the definitive size chart for Resident Evil Village's lady, the super tall lady.
Yeah,
and so he has a one of those wonderful picture charts measuring a bunch of different people against her, including an ostrich, the T-Rex from Jurassic Park, and this one's a threesome: an emperor penguin, 3 king penguins stacked on top of each other, and Danny DeVito as the penguin holding a 40 stack of McVitie's penguin bars. And so if you want to see how she stacks up to all those and many other characters, head to the link.
And I do.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, we're here. End of the show. Quick plugs for MinnMax stuff. You can check out Anna's huge community call-in episode of MinnFacts that's up in the Patreon exclusive podcast feed. It's a very interesting time talking to Anna about her childhood. We have people calling in, just talking about their favorite Anna memories and all that stuff. And we now can announce or reveal to the podcast listeners that Anna is a full-time employee at Polygon now. So hats off to Anna. Follow her on Twitter, read her articles, all that stuff. And obviously she's welcome to come back whenever she likes. So hopefully we can have her on again in the near future. Also, New Show Plus, our gameplay show that isn't always gameplay, but we revamped the Great Goatee Hunt. So New Show Plus, we now let people vote every single week on Patreon for what show we create. And the winner of the first week is the worst name we could possibly imagine, Ratatouille. And so it was Leo Vader and I playing the survival game Raft, the co-op game, and that episode 1 is up now on our YouTube channel, and it's super fun. I really love that game. And so next week you can vote if you want us to make an episode 2, or if you want us to create an entirely new show, which we'll have 3 other options for you. So it's a fun way to engage the community there. Tell us what you want us to make. Sarah, what would you like to plug?
Pokeball again. It's nice. It's for charity. It's fun. I can't think of anything else to plug right now. But yeah, Chocobowl is this weekend. Every year around the big game, which we have to say like that. As you may know, we play through an RPG. We hang out. I will be there mostly Saturday with bits of Friday night and probably Sunday to wrap up. But yeah, we will play through in real time. It's me and Teddy Deef and Adriel Wallach. And I think Erica Ishii will be hanging out in chat. But there's a whole cohort of folks that come and hang out, and it's really good times and a really sweet crew. The charity we're supporting is the Bail Project. Again, there will be donation incentives for that. And you can find it at chocobowl.tv. So CHOCOBOWL.tv and at Chocobowl TV on Twitter. So that's where I'll be hanging out this weekend, and I hope to catch folks there.
Awesome. Cool. I'll put a link below for folks as well.
Cool. Thanks.
Kyle, Jeffem, you got anything?
No.
Great. Just the way we like it. Well, hey.
Twitter.
Oh, what's that, Kyle?
I said follow me on Twitter, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Want us to say things here?
Follow, subscribe.
These two won't stop talking about themselves.
Follow. I don't want you to like or subscribe.
Do not engage.
Yeah.
Everybody follow, please. Kyle is a hoot.
I'm at Selmolly on Twitter if you care.
Oh, yeah, there we go. There's a plug. Hell yeah, Sarah. Hey, also thanks to all of the $50 Patreon supporters. We read their names at the end of every show, so if you want your name read and also the name in the credits of every MinnMax video and podcast, you can support us on Patreon. But thank you to Kris, BeatenDownBrian, I Am 8-Bit, PrettyGoodPrinting.com, Jawarhello, Mirko Arico-Torreno, Zachary Pligge, Mark Seliga, Bucket of Jello, Andrew Vala, Ludwig Roque, Jesse Vitelli, SuperSeriousSam, Thomas Hoster, Yarrow, SpiralInYourEyes, Clint Farley, Richard Smuts, Clayton Myers, Spider-Dan, Preetham Yarlagadda, Starkiller, Zach Einck, SlyckNic, and Steve Bamdad. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks for being here, Sarah. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
Absolutely. And thanks for watching and listening. Be good, have fun. Let's go, everybody.
Bye.